Hello, everybody. Welcome to Ain't It the Fun podcast, episode 12. We have a new guest. You want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Morgan Gire. This is Special Wave, just for those of you joining us on YouTube. My name is Morgan Gire. Hi. I'm a podcaster.
You are
this
now?
This is very weird for me to say. I do 2 podcasts now, which is very odd for me. Because I never thought I'd be a podcaster. In the last year, I became a podcaster, so that's fun.
Ditto.
Right?
Yeah.
Fun times. And this is our first time actually corresponding and hanging out. This is a first for you, I believe. Is that right?
Shy of about 3 texts prior to today, maybe 4 if we're lucky. I don't think we've ever spoken.
Nope.
You seem to think we have not met at the Chicago Film Critics Festival.
We haven't. I
You're
promise
sure
you we haven't. Yes.
This year was the first year you went, and it's the first year I didn't go.
Yeah, basically.
Last year. Really?
I mean, I've been for like a few minutes here and there to like check things out, but I haven't actually stayed for the festival anytime previously.
Okay, that would be why then.
Don't tell Eric, / I'm pretty sure Eric knows.
I was going to say he probably knows already anyway. Yeah. He keeps track of that stuff, I'm sure. I'm assuming I'm not telling tales out of school, but you are involved in theater?
Yes.
Yes?
I mean, if I'm hiding the fact that I'm involved in theater, I'm doing a really bad job of being involved in theater. It's not usually the MO you do when you are trying to be involved in theater. But yes, I am a company member with the Factory Theater up on Howard Street, up on the north side of Chicago. I'm a stage manager. Been a stage manager for a very long time. It's what I got my degree in. Not what I have my career in, because, well, that's another story.
Yeah.
But
we don't talk about careers on here normally.
We don't talk about
careers.
Really. Let's not do that. But yeah, so I have a background in theater, both from a performing perspective and from the tech perspective, and I much prefer the tech side. My father's a film critic. That is how I have gotten involved with my podcast. The 2 podcasts that I do are both about movies. One of them is with my father, where we talk about different themes in movies and different we'll talk about like indie films. We talk about basically anything involving film. And you get a lovely perspective from a young, youthful millennial like myself and the old codger of my father, who would appreciate
He's not that much of a codger, I'll tell you.
He's not that much of a codger, but I like to call him that anyway, and he loves it, let me tell you. No, but I think we have a fun dynamic. He's a great guy. I don't know, have you listened to our podcast at all?
Truthfully, until you just said it today, I didn't even know you had one with your father.
What? Okay.
No.
It's good.
Again, we haven't talked until literally about 40 minutes ago.
Today. In those 5 text messages, I should have been promoting my other podcast. Like, come on.
It's all about the socials, like I was saying 10 minutes ago. It's all about the socials.
Yeah, I'm so bad at the socials. It's part of my problem.
I'm teaching myself. Speaking
You're
of
doing
that,
a good job. Yes.
Speaking of that,
yes.
If you're watching this live, there should be a button directly underneath there that says subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. If there's a little bell, hit the bell button. The bell will notify you anytime anything I do goes live or I post anything. And then if you hit the little button that says chat, you can chat right now with us. If you want to make a comment after it's been posted, there you go. After the thing is if you do it like on your phone and stuff, it doesn't like
Eric Childress, if you're watching this, we need to do whatever he's doing.
I swear to God, I offered to be sort of his mini producer. I said, look, if you guys just want to get on Zoom, I'll crop myself out and I'll just literally hit record. And then
not a bad idea.
We could do this and then post it to your own YouTube channel.
I think there are some conversations that need to be happening on that front. So to fill audience in, I'm sure you all have seen Eric Childress on this podcast a million times because, well, Eric likes to talk.
He does. This is the other half. We've mentioned the Friendship Dilemma, which is their podcast together.
Yes.
So this is the other half of that podcast. If you haven't bothered to go check it out,
which you should, because it's awesome.
Check it out now. Say you don't like Childress.
I know
we
Eric,
all don't like him.
Probably didn't give you a good flavor, but I'm here now, so you can see how awesome it is. So yeah.
If Childress rubbed you the wrong way, like he does, maybe Morgan will make you want to go listen.
Or at least watch Eric get owned by me all the time.
That's true.
That helps too.
That's true. He gets it pretty good. You don't let him
I
down
like
very
to
easy.
think I dish it out. Well, maybe not as much as I probably actually do, but
I'm
here
not
we are.
very adversarial, and I hope none of my topics are going to cause any issue. They're
I
not
don't
friendship
think they
related.
will, based on what I know I'm walking into, but
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if you have any surprises.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
I don't know. I never knew I was adversarial until I started hosting podcasts, and now I'm like, God, I argue all the time. I like to disagree on opinions, and I don't do this in my like waking life usually, but if the point is to have a discussion about something, I'm going to tell you my opinion. We're going to have it out.
The border between just good conversation and an argument is very thin. So
It
it's,
is, especially when you're talking with me and Eric.
And movies. Movies are
And
very
movies.
polarizing.
Movies are very polarizing.
Friendships
Oh man.
and relationships also are very polarizing.
Yes.
Well,
yeah. Has he talked about what the podcast really is?
Yes.
Great.
But you're
Did
more
he
than
tell
welcome,
you
please.
How it came about? Did he tell you how it came about?
I want to say recently he mentioned that, and I could be wrong, but I want to say the movie, because you guys just did Aliens. I want to say it was 2 episodes ago. I could be wrong, maybe 3.
Aliens 2 episodes ago.
Aliens was the thing that kind of started it, right? Actually,
not really.
There was one movie he brought up that was like that. One movie got brought up. Which movie was that?
The movie that got brought up that became like a huge issue with us was Tombstone.
What?
Right? Okay, so let me walk you through it. So this all started because Eric was doing what?
Maybe we'll get into an argument. Let's see.
You never know. Let's go at.
Okay.
So Eric was doing a list of movies for some website that I should know the name of that I don't know.
I would promote the one, but I think it just got brought down from a server crash, so I don't know if he's promoting that.
I don't think it's that one. It's like Letterboxd or something.
Oh, yeah.
Is that it? Is that a thing?
Yeah, Colin
did I pull
does
that out
that.
of nowhere?
You did well, because Colin posts on there all the time. Childress does lists on there all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds right. So we had started chatting a lot more after the film festival. And he was like, give me some ideas for some letterbox lists to do. I haven't done very many. Like, I need to do more. Like, what do you suggest? And of course, me being who I am and wanting to test Eric as much as I possibly can, I tried to think of some of the more difficult lists that he wouldn't have. Like, I'm not going to be like, oh, movies with a dog. Movies set in France. Like, no, we're not. Like, I'm going to try and, stump him as best as I can. So I came up with a couple ideas, and one of them was top 10 movies that have positive relationships between male-female friendships. And he started being like, well, can they get together? And I'm like, no, they can't get together. They can't have any romantic relationship that's not a good friendship. And he's like, well, I remember, like, can there be one side? Like, we started going into all these like details. Like, he kept trying to like find ways out. And then we started talking about the movies, and he was having a hard time. He started to be like, can I use all 7 Harry Potter movies or all 8 Harry Potter movies? Yeah. I was like, no, you can't use all 8 Harry Potter movies. But that's what got the conversation going about like movies with positive relationships between men and women as friends. And he got it so stuck on his mind that he was just like, we need to do a podcast about this. This is a great idea for a podcast. We should do a podcast on this. I'm like, okay, so he's podcast savvy. I've apparently fallen into this world somehow. I don't know how. But so he's been the motivator from the technological side. And so we've been going through movie by movie. And if you know Eric, which you do, but I know the audience only knows so much. Eric is a bit of a hopeless romantic, so I am a bit of a literalist, and so I tend to squash some of his dreams, and I feel really bad about it, but I think it's good arguments. But the reason we got stuck on Tombstone, and to this day we're still arguing about this. We're still arguing about Tombstone. It was the relationship, because usually with positive male-female relationships, for the most part, because this is a part of storytelling that, is just not as classical, and hopefully is somewhere that we're going into moving forward. But most of the time, any kind of good, healthy male-female relationship is going to be a minor character. It's going to be a side character. It's going to be not the focus. Frequently, you'll see the classic gay best friend, and that's how we get away with the fact that there's no sexual tension. And one of the episodes we did recently was Roxanne, and he was like, "Oh, it's so good between Shelley Duvall and Martin and Steve Martin. They're best friends." Then we found out that they're actually god brother and sister, and
I'm
I
the
don't
one
know
who actually
why.
caught that and told him that.
Yeah, no, we talked about that. There's something about that where it's just like, oh, they're totally like trying to like placate why they would be friends instead of like, oh, why isn't there sexual? It drives me insane. Drives me absolutely insane.
Sergio just said, "Wait, Eric is a hopeless romantic?"
If Eric's not a hopeless romantic, I am definitely not a hopeless romantic.
You're so far off the spectrum in the other direction.
I think I might be, though. I mean, I can do some trash romance. I almost went on here to talk about Bridgerton season 2.
Okay.
But we're not going to talk about Bridgerton season 2. I have too many problems with it. We can't talk about it. Anyway.
Can you be pragmatic and be a hopeless romantic at the same time? Or does the hopeless kill it?
So,
okay.
I don't know. Maybe the hopeless kills it. I haven't thought that hard about it. Maybe that'll cover that in our next podcast, the Hopeless Romantic podcast, where we discover what it takes to be a hopeless romantic.
I'm glad you covered Aliens. Because the second he told me you guys were going to do it, I started trying to think of something. I've given him a couple. I don't think he's told you.
Have you listened to our Aliens podcast yet?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. But you know that he was completely wrong about our podcast.
Well, that you went the opposite direction? Like you did a little
like,
swerve?
we're talking about Hicks and Ripley. I'm like, we're not talking about Hicks and Ripley.
Yes.
They're not friends. I don't know why you think they're friends. They're not friends.
Well, see,
they're not friends.
You did end up coming to the fact that they were friends towards the end a little bit, right? There was tension, but there was never any push for it. They didn't make out. They weren't even like
you can
trying
have sexual
to be...
tension. Okay, first of all,
yes,
two things.
I'll give you tension.
There's tension. Just because you don't make out doesn't mean there's not tension. And if there's tension, it's not a healthy friendship. Moving on. Point 2. If you've seen the uncut director's edition, you know very well that there is a particularly steamy scene in which they share each other's first names, and you cannot even go anywhere near that not being sexual tension.
Is that canonical? Could you have to take that in because it's not actually part of the movie?
I mean, I can see where you're coming, but I consider here's where I draw the line. I think that everyone has to personally draw their own line about what is canon and what isn't canon.
Sure.
So for me, everything that ever happened for Aliens exists, and then Alien 3 doesn't.
You guys made that blatantly aware.
Yes. No, Alien 3 doesn't exist. We don't acknowledge it. In my mind, that movie ended after Aliens, and I'm fine with it.
I did like your swerve though, because even when I was thinking about Aliens, I went right to the obvious, Ripley and Hicks. But your swerve was good because I didn't actually think about the two of them, Vasquez and stuff. It didn't click. So you said it, and I was like, "You're damn right. That's true. They're really good. Yeah,
they're wonderful
once
friends.
You said it. Yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah, they're the best. I got to interview them, which is talked about in the podcast, but we're not going to talk about it here because otherwise I'll just sit here and brag about the fact that I got to interview them. That could be my first thing. Actually, I might bump another thing. That's my first thing about things that make me happy.
There you go.
Actually, no, this is my. I'm going off the cuff now because
I was going to say otherwise you could promote the podcast.
I mean, right, but so. Like I said, I'm on Instagram, but I don't really do Instagram as much as I probably should. I don't have that like specific gene in millennial women that allows them to know when to post things online. It's very bad. I'm bad at it. I'm just very bad. But I did get to interview Mark Ralston and Jeanette, and I'm going to forget her last name.
Sergio
anyway,
says
I wasn't planning
to
talk about this, and here we are.
Okay.
But I got to interview them, and after interviewing them, Mark Ralston started following me on Instagram. So now I'm like, oh, Mark Ralston.
Did you get the vapors? Did you get the? Oh.
No, he is so sweet and delightful. He is not at all the kind of person that you would expect him to be, because he always gets cast as these like really like tough guys. Like he's always the like FBI agent or the bad guy or frickin' Shawshank, like, ooh, like he's that guy. He's that scary guy. And when you talk to him, He is so full of life. He is so warm and inviting. He is just delightful. He was telling me different stories of the industry about how like Arnold Schwarzenegger brought cigars or like would just hand people like handfuls of cigars on sets and like
Seems
random
like the
things
type of
like
guy.
that. He's yeah, right. It's just it's he's awesome. I'm a big fan. So now
Well,
I'm happy that
so let's get into this. So for
yes.
those not familiar
Sorry,
with no, I'm not. I didn't mean
jumping
to.
in.
I hopefully I didn't interrupt you. But
I'm not as familiar with the format as you told me.
here's a good refresher. The format is we've been in now month 25 of a nightmare hellscape, and to get
Oh
out
God.
of that hellscape, we want. I thought, you know what, we need something with positivity. Due to everything that's been going on over the last 2 years. So the idea being is we're each going to
Yeah.
talk about 3 things that bring us happiness, make us smile, whatever. Things that are
Great.
good, that bring us joy.
I feel like I've talked about 7 when I've been talking to you since before this podcast and into this podcast already. So yeah, let's do it.
Well, save some too, and then we'll have you back. Wheel. Like
There you go.
like there's a company back here or something. Wheel. Anyway.
We'll think about it. You know, if you guys want to have your people talk to my people
That's right,
and we'll get
that's
a
right.
contract set up.
The organization back here will figure it out. So we'll talk about 3 things like that, and then at the very end, we'll each talk about something that we're looking forward to, whether it's like tomorrow, a month from now, a year from now, whatever, something that we're really looking forward to that also makes us happy. So what I normally do in these situations is I pass it to the guest and say, do you want to go first, or would you like me to go first? Totally up to you.
I'll go first.
Okay.
And I will use my Mark Ralston as my friend on Instagram. Closer to best friends. We're getting there, you know.
Okay.
Any familiar relationship I can have with anyone from the Aliens franchise, I'm a big fan of. But I'm gonna pick a second part to that and say that I am extremely overjoyed by what I'm assuming is Street Fighter behind you, or is that Tekken? And that's important distinction.
I am not paid by any company, and I get these on sale when I can find them because they're expensive. It's One Up Arcade. They make reproduction 3/4 arcade machines, and these are on little lifters where my pen's pointing here. So they are actually now normal height. Otherwise, they are shorter than normal. It's almost for like a 10-year-old.
I've seen them. I've thought about getting one, and I've not. But
this is the X-Men franchise, Marvel Superheroes one.
Yep.
This, to the right, is Marvel versus Capcom. So each one...
That's my favorite game.
I even have a little...
I'm not even kidding. That is my favorite game.
I even have a little stuffed Akuma right there.
Who are your 3 players that you like to play with?
Well, if you're doing Marvel versus Capcom 2, because there is a big distinction, 2
2 is the one that's important.
Right. I go, in that case, it'll be War Machine, Ryu, and Cable. Because when you do the triple ultra, you get all 3 beams that go across the screen. It fills the whole screen up, and it's almost a guaranteed hit every time. I think it's like a 60 or 70 hit combo.
That's the reason I do Iron Man.
He's the recolor, or he's on Marvel vs. Capcom 1, which is on this machine. 2 is not on this machine.
Okay.
So 1, which is your Iron Man.
Yes.
It's just because War Machine's just a recolor of your Iron Man.
War Machine's just a recolor. I mean, it's so second. It's so Capcom 2. Like
that music's great.
I was using Iron Man before it was cool.
So I
do Iron Man.
Is this your number 1?
I think so. So it's Iron Man, Juggernaut.
Of course. Well, Melee, big Melee, but Melee.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
This is why I like to mix it up. And then Little Red. Yeah.
Because small hitbox? You like the fact that she's tinier?
No, she got a small hitbox, but have you ever done her ultra move?
I'm trying to remember it.
It's awesome. Her ultra move, the hunter comes in from behind her and blasts the guy.
Okay.
And also, like, Little Red has a like freaking Uzi. Like, you know that, right? Like,
it's like the double Uzi, right? Because she has the little picnic basket, and then she takes the Uzis out.
She got the Uzis, and then when she does she has like hunters come in and like shoot the other guys. It's real. She's actually a really good character. I'm just saying. So those are my 3 in that order. Juggernaut, Iron Man, Little Red. I had save her for the end because people don't know. They think she's very unassuming. I'm a big fan of unassuming action fighter game characters.
So do you like fighting games in general, or do you just like
I
Marvel
like
vs.
them.
Capcom?
I'm not good at them. Well, I'm not bad at them. I'm a button masher. I'm a button masher. I'll accept that for what it is.
Sure.
But my best friend in high school was super into Mortal Kombat. And then when I was a kid, I was super into Tekken. And then of course I'd play Street Fighter whenever I could. But like if I have to play a video game, it's gonna be a fighter game.
Okay. That's the only video games then?
I mean, I haven't played video games in a long time.
Okay.
Like the only video games that I could tell you that I played consciously were like original Mario, Mario 3, Mario Party. Like, yeah, like I haven't been a really big video game person, partly because I will say I got into a kick where I really got into the Lego games.
Yeah, they're awesome.
And I will say Lego Lord of the Rings, one of the best games I've ever played, knowing that I've played like 4 games. So Lego Lord of the Rings, best game.
Did you play
For
Lego?
people who only play 4 games.
Did you play Lego Hobbit?
Yes, I did. I did not find it as good.
Yeah.
But
I think
I also hated the Hobbit movies as much, but it was not bad. It was good. It was fun, but like there's so much less lore that they go into. The devices, they did like little different things in the devices of how you had to create some of the items that you needed for the game, and it kind of lost me.
Didn't they have to stretch it? Because really, you only got about a movie and a half, and they stretched it to 3, right?
Yes, they don't even talk to me about the Hobbit movies. That is another movie I try to pretend and block out of my mind, but that's its own thing. I get really into my fandoms. I had never read The Hobbit before I saw the movies.
Oh, wow.
And I was completely inconsolable when Keely and Feely died. Completely inconsolable.
Wow.
It's a problem. Anyway,
No,
I'm so glad
good.
to share this with an audience of people.
That's geekdoms fandoms are all good as long as it's healthy.
Yes.
As long as you're not hurting anybody else, who cares what you like, right?
Exactly. So yeah, I could not. Nope. I was like, nope, we're done. I'm never seeing these movies again. Forgetting this ever happened. I mean, as much as some of the scene work is amazing, Lee Pace first of all, Lee Pace is an actor, amazing. I love him horribly. Speaking of movies that are horrible that I kind of like, and maybe I am, I don't think I'm a romantic in any way, but I didn't. Oh, I'm going to say this in public and I'm going to hate myself. I didn't hate the Twilight movies.
Okay.
Yeah. You can judge me all you want.
I may
Go right
have
ahead.
to.
Yeah. But Lee Pace is part of the reason that last one works at all in any way, shape, or form. Actually, I think I just watch it because Lee Pace is so good.
Marvel did him dirty, by the way. Speaking of not to purposely go back to Marvel,
Yeah.
but Ronan, when they made him Ronan, I was super excited.
Yeah.
And
then
Ronan,
he had like nothing.
Yeah. Killed him super easily. As much as that ending
Could have been anybody.
As much as that ending is funny and silly with the whole Guardians thing in that first movie.
Yeah.
I really wanted more out of him because Ronan in the comics, I'm a big comic guy. Ronan in the comics is a badass, and he barely got to do anything in that first movie. And then I was really hoping when they did the whole Kree, Captain Marvel situation, they went back and I'm like, oh, they get to bring him back and they'll show him at his supreme awesomeness.
And you were like,
nothing.
Nope.
Did nothing with him again.
Yeah, I love Lee Pace.
I was really hoping
deserves
for the two of them
all
to go
the
head to
roles
head.
that he gets.
Even if she did, smash him.
Him in The Hobbit, though, he has some great dialogue in the Hobbit movies. He does that whole bit with Evangeline Lilly, who I don't.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's about the best anybody can say about Evangeline Lilly. But where, forgive me, where he's talking with her about losing people in death and how it was real because you feel what you feel now, and like Lee Pace, love him. Anyway,
Well, fandoms and video games.
Yes.
So this machine has four. Wait, this the other one, the Marvel superheroes one has 2 or 3 different fighting games. There's the original X-Men fighting game made by Capcom.
Okay. I think I've played that once or twice because I remember playing, or I played Dr. X in another fighting game, but I don't know.
Marvel superheroes. It's just the Marvel heroes battling each other. And then I think this one might have Marvel versus Capcom, X-Men versus Capcom, I think, on this one. This one, then, is all Marvel versus Capcom.
Well, then you got to play Wolverine. Like, you got to have Wolverine on your team.
There's actually 2 different versions of Wolverine in this one. In that one game, it's Adamantium version, and then Berserker Wolverine with the bone claws without the adamantium.
I'm gonna tell you this right now, Eric. I don't want to ruin what is a positive energy podcast.
Uh-oh.
I am not the biggest Marvel fan.
That's okay.
No
judging.
I I have no problem with Marvel. I have no problem with the characters. I have a problem with the fact that it never ends. I have a problem with the fact that nobody ever dies and it just constantly is going, because at this point there's so many stories and so many different iterations and so many people have died and come back that I'm like, I don't know what's happening. And everyone, like, I go see the Marvel movies and then they're like, oh, they're gonna do the Starlight ending, and you're like, I don't know what that is. Like, I think it might be the fans that drive me a little insane. Apologies.
Any extreme fandom becomes toxic.
Oh,
I don't care what what the fandom is. So I can be a huge Marvel fan.
True. I'm going to be talking about that later, so I'm excited about it.
There you go. But yeah, I totally get it. But I'm of, there is too much of a good thing, and I get that, thought process, right?
Yeah, and the fact that it's like all in this, they make it all in the same universe and all in the same multiverse, and then it goes. That's when I lose it. Like, if it was literally like, oh, Iron Man has a story here, and it's with Spider-Man and Captain America, and then okay, that's done. Now we're gonna talk over here. Like, the fact that it all has to like come together. I will say they're getting
worse. The original Thor movies, the original Cap movie, and the original. Even the first 3, the 3 Iron Man movies, did a pretty good job of keeping themselves out of the larger MCU. There was just enough of a hint that you knew Thor was around, but he wasn't in the movie, that kind of thing. And they did a better job at that. The Spider-Man movies, even the Guardians, actually, technically, they were good about keeping themselves away. The Spider-Man movies in particular are bad at it. Because Sony desperately wants that Marvel money. And so, like, here, can't we have Iron Man? Can't we have this person in here, please? Can we have this guy? Because they had to salvage that horrible, amazing 2-movie fiasco that they were doing.
Hey, they made one hell of a nerd today, sir, and I haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
But knowing that the Spider-Man movie includes all 3. Should I not say anything?
It hasn't come to streaming yet.
Okay, I won't say anything. I'm sure everybody on this podcast has no idea what happens in the Spider-Man movie.
It's bigger than people expect.
But that is the kind of nerddom thing I am there for. That's the kind of nerddom thing I'm there for. I will say, like, what really gets me with the Marvel movies specifically is they stopped making them a movie and they started making them sections of a bigger story.
Okay.
Because when you see the first original Avengers, that movie's awesome. You bring them all together. It's got a beginning, a middle, and end. It climax. It ends. Like, you're good. You're there. And by the time they hit Civil War, it seems like all they're doing is setting you up for the next movie. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Excuse me. Excuse me. By the way, Sergio just said Morbius is now the worst reviewed Marvel movie ever. Wow.
I mean, I could have called you that one.
That's exactly what I'm typing. Does it?
I think we're all starting the curse of Jared Leto. I'm pretty sure that's on its way. Like,
yeah, maybe especially after
Jared Leto's not allowed to be in any more Superman movie or any more superhero movies.
Although that wasn't his fault. Suicide Squad.
I'm very sad though because I love Matt Smith so much, and I want him to have an amazing career. And I feel like every time he turns around, he gets a great role in a movie that tanks.
He was in the newer one, right? The newer Suicide Squad, because he wasn't in the original.
Matt Smith is in Morbius.
Oh, that's why. Okay, yeah.
You don't know who Matt Smith is, do you, Eric?
Is it? I see. You're gonna get mad at me. Doctor Who?
Yes.
Yeah.
You got it.
I know he is. I remember.
So this is something I'm constantly browbeating Eric Childress. I should just call him Childress to not have any confusion. But this is something I'm browbeating him on because he hasn't watched Doctor Who yet, and I'm like trying to be like, you gotta watch Doctor Who.
I'm thinking of Deschambalan, Polka Dot Man from the last one. He was in the Marvel movies. Demeshalan. I'm mutilating the hell out of this guy's name.
Yeah, I'm wondering where this is. What I don't know.
That's who when I thought of Matt Smith, it clicked to him for some reason. So I was thinking Suicide Squad, but anyway, it wasn't the right guy. But
I've barely remember Suicide Squad. Apologies.
Well, there's two of them, so you could be confused.
Is it Suicide 1 or Suicide 2?
When they have a media screening the day before the film opens, that's always a bad spell. Yeah, that's what Sergio. Yeah, it's never good.
Or if they don't have a media screening at all, you know it's real bad.
Safe.
But that was always the thing in my house was it was like it's not being screened for critics, and you were like, oh, that means it's horrible.
Eric taught me that early. You know, working at the video stores, you got stuff early, but that was already done. And then when he started doing, being a writer and doing these things, that was Desmalchian. That's his last name.
Sure.
He typed it out for me.
I'm gonna believe you.
He typed it out for me phonetically, so I think I'm okay. You just didn't put the umlauts
accent
and stuff over it.
Yeah.
But yeah, these things are great, and they have a ton of them. So even if you're not like Marvel versus Capcom 1 and 2, like you are, a big fan of those, or a Marvel person in general, like me, that's why I have these. The only one I kind of desperately still want is they have a 12-game Midway Mortal Kombat cabinet.
I've heard of that one.
Yeah, so they have a bunch of Midway
games. It took me a
games.
lot to not get the Ninja Turtles one. Sean wanted that one real bad.
The 4-player one?
Yep.
Yes. They also have a Gauntlet 4-player one like that. Yeah, see? Yeah. Every once in a while, if you look... See, again, I don't pay full price for these things. And so I wait for sales. And then I scoop them up. Well, because you just can't afford it. In fact, I even have two is ridiculous.
I get you.
But
we're going to get into my expensive fandoms later in my list.
But yeah, just the other day, they'll throw them up on sale all the time when they're trying to get rid of stock. But they had like a Sega, the driving game, and it has a little sit-down chair and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Like 200 off. I don't have any money right now, or I would have grabbed it. But the Mortal Kombat one went on sale. I think it's $5.99. At Christmas, it was $2.10. And they were just getting rid of them at Best Buy.
$2.10? How did you not just buy that?
I didn't have the money.
Sell something. Kidneys? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, they'll come around. I'll grab it some other time. But yeah, these things are great. I'm surprised. So you hadn't seen these before? Or you would because you saw the turtle.
I've seen them. I just was impressed that you had them and on in the background.
So you don't have a video game system in the house where you could play Marvel vs. Capcom 2?
I mean, I have video game systems. They're not mine, and I don't know.
If I said the words, and I'm not.
The only thing that I know we have is we have those systems that are like the original Nintendos, but it's all the games in one. We have those for both. Do you not know what these?
Oh, like the HD reissues, the little mini NES. They have like 60 games on them. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We have two of those, one of each of the kinds that they put out, so I can play my. See, that's the thing is, I've been in situations when I was in college. Somebody had the original Nintendo they brought with them to a dorm room.
Sure.
And I started playing Mario 3. And 5 hours later, I realized I was still playing Mario 3. And that's when I went, you know what? This isn't healthy. Let's not do this. I completely lost track of time for 5 hours.
It's like a casino. You're comfortable.
Yeah, it really is.
Focused, fully focused. You got tunnel vision, nice sounds, pleasant stuff. It's literally built almost like an addicting
If you
thing to
put
keep you going.
oxygen into my room, I would never know.
That's right. Especially if you're down in a basement or something, you don't even see daylight. It could be the next day.
No
You don't
idea.
even know.
And that's not what I want. That's not what I want for myself.
But here's the thing: is so you don't have. If you have, and I'm not trying to be patronizing. If you have I think it's out on PS3, Xbox 360.
We have one of those. I don't know which one.
If you have an Xbox 360 or a One or the new Series X, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, I believe, is backwards compatible, which means you can play it nice and in.
I know
nice
what backwards compatible is.
Well, some people don't. So that's why I said I don't want to be. So you tell me if I'm being unintentionally.
No, but we should explain it to the audience. That's always.
But yeah, if you have the old system laying around, or you buy the new one, you're like, oh, I like those old games, but you can't find them. You go to a GameStop or a secondhand bookstore, or whatever they, like half price books. They have games just sitting there. A lot of these games, they'll usually have a sticker on them. They'll say backwards compatible. Xbox is a little bit easier. PlayStation doesn't really do it unless you own them digitally.
Yeah, that's how I got some of the Lego games, because there were a lot of backwards compatible stuff.
There you go. Yep. Well, they do. I'll check, and then I'll text you after this. I believe Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is. I don't think 1 is. But if you can get your fix without having to buy a stupid $250 machine
Yeah, but
like
I won't have Little Red, and I don't know if I could do it without Little Red.
Well, that's 2. So,
yeah.
I think she's in 2. Again, I'll check the rosters. I'll let you know.
We'll figure it out.
This is a surprise. So Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is your number 1 that brings you happiness.
Sure. Okay. We'll go with it.
All right.
So originally it was going to be, and I'll just do a segment of this real quick because I want to start peeling it. Okay. Originally it was going to be this pomegranate that I found that is the size of look at how big this pomegranate is.
That is massive.
Massive pomegranate I found. I'm very happy about it, but that is really all I have to say about it, is that this massive.
I saw a trick recently. Have you seen the hack where they pre-cut the top in 8 sections and then kind of peel it down and then all the stuff pops out and you don't have to scoop it out
anymore? I've seen that. I've seen it also cut in 4s and done in water, but I'm not one of those people. I'm one of those people. I'm a hardcore person, Eric. I peel this shit. I will peel a pomegranate. I've sat for hours peeling pomegranates. I don't know why. This is just who I am.
So then you have to do the whole aggressive hand washing afterwards because you got pomegranate juice all over. Yeah.
And it stains for 2 days. Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
I'm gonna eat this pomegranate a little bit.
I have an aversion, if you want to eat ribs, I can't eat ribs on the bone. I can, but I choose not to eat ribs on the bone because then your hands get all gross and you get the rib and the whole thing.
It's part of it. See, I'm one of those people who I like to clean the bone completely.
Sure.
I'm nothing is left. I leave no element of rib uneaten.
So I slow cook them for 8 hours.
You can make me hungry. Why are you doing this to me?
Mrs. Fun and I just had them the other day. I just made them 2 full slabs, cut them in half, salt and pepper, put your choice of spices on them, stack them. She just said, I love them in the chat. You stack them 4. I got the big, giant slow cooker.
Yeah.
Do your choice of barbecue sauce, any additives. Okay. I put either root beer or Dr. Pepper in it, and then paprika and some other stuff for spices. And then,
I'm sorry, but my 13-year-old self, you just blew her mind because root beer and ribs sounds like the best thing in the world.
The acid in the pop helps the meat break down. And if you cook them for 8 hours, no joke, I swear to God, she'll attest to this if she types. I pop the lid off. You take a pair of tongs and you drop them in there, when you go to lift them, the bones slide out of the meat. And the meat just falls apart. You hurry up and you scoop it onto your plate and you pour all the juice on it. Not a bit of bone. They literally fall out. And then it's just baby back rib meat.
I'm going to need you to write this down.
Okay.
And then,
I have a picture.
I need to find a way to make that.
So real quick, I will text you a picture that.
Oh, don't do that.
Yeah.
No. Don't do that. Not right now, because then I'm going to get hungry. And then I'm going to have to be like, okay, I got to go. I got to go make ribs.
Here it is. You ready? No. The bones are in this, but it was because it was the one at the top. And then I just literally took a fork and pushed it, and all the bones just slide out. There you go. Okay. It's on its way.
That looks really good.
I'm telling you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's one of the few things I
want
cook well.
ribs.
I don't do a lot of stuff well, but that, as far as
I
food
know.
goes,
I have like
that's-
5 things that I'm like, I cook that really well. Good job, me. And then everything else, I'm like, I don't know. I'll bring chips to the party. I don't know.
hey, that works too. My first one
Yes.
is
I'm being uncourteous. What is your
you're
first one,
fine.
Eric?
I've been
Please
sipping
tell
water
me.
the whole time. The Sergio, who's in here, okayed us last time, so I'm gonna mention his name. He's been very gracious.
Okay.
We did not ask, so there is some compensation going on. We're getting something for free. But
Ooh,
oh, here, hold on.
we are
Hold on, we may have a live surprise guest here. Hold on.
a live surprise
Yeah.
guest. It can't be Eric. He's bowling.
No. Did you want to talk about ribs? This is Mrs.
No, I do not want to talk about ribs.
You're on now, by the way.
Oh, okay. Hi, Morgan.
Hi.
Okay. I did not want to talk about ribs, but Childress has just sent me a text that I feel like I need to just bring this
Oh,
in.
are you sure this is?
I love it. I love it so much that we're talking shit about him. This is great.
Okay.
So it says, also, you can be pragmatic and be a hopeless romantic.
He thinks he can be pragmatic. And
She
be a
says
hopeless
he thinks
romantic.
he can be.
Yeah, well, let's talk about it.
The reason
That's
I
for the
mention
next
is because I find
podcast.
myself pragmatic, and then I'm very similar to Childress as far as that goes. So, hopeless romantic. I can be
you-
both.
Are you really pragmatic though?
Yeah, overly. Almost to the point of cynicism. Is that Mrs.
Sure,
Fun?
okay.
Yes, it is, Sergio. It's Mrs. Fun. But yeah, all right. Later. Bye. But yeah, again, Sergio has been super gracious. We didn't ask for
Yes.
this, and
Okay.
when he knows how, I mean, Childress and I are look, anybody our age is massive Star Wars fans. Boy, girl,
Yeah.
adult.
I'm sorry.
it doesn't
Did I
matter.
not bring? Oh, I didn't show that on the podcast. I
No.
only showed it to you. The giant life-size Yoda
Yeah.
that I'm looking at right now.
Full size,
Okay.
like actual
size.
Yoda size, 1-to-1
Like
scale.
I could do a scene work with him. I'm pretty sure it might even be slightly bigger than the actual
Okay.
Yoda was, but it's okay.
But yeah, again, it massive fandom. Sergio obviously is not as big a fan. He likes some of the movies, but Childress and I are massive fans. I mean, I was
Childress is a massive fan.
I was 4 when it came out, but I remember Jedi. I remember, I remember going and waiting in line around.
I mean, I wasn't born when it came out, but okay.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I remember all that, and so it's huge. And so when Sergio found out that, and I'm a massive, why am I forgetting his damn name? The composer.
John Williams.
Yeah, John Williams. I'm a massive Williams fan, and so
Should be.
yeah, I mean, again, Childress talked about that a couple
John
episodes
Williams
ago.
is what made 80s movies. I'm sorry. He is.
He's not only prolific, but a genius. I mean, it's a cool combo to have.
It's a cool combo to have.
Yeah.
You know, I'd like to be both prolific and a genius. That'd be great.
There's nothing worse than being crappy and prolific, because no one wants that. But Sergio found out that the Chicago Symphony Orchestra was doing. They do that movie at the Chicago Symphony Orchestra.
Is this how Jurassic Park happened?
Yes.
Because I was infuriated when he sent me that photo because I was like, you went to Jurassic Park done by the Chicago Symphony Orchestra and never told me.
Well, he did when we were there.
While he was there. Yeah, great. Thanks, Eric.
But so that is my thing is, again, we did Star Wars, we did Empire. They do all kinds of movies. You can go there for all kinds of movie stuff.
I will say, what is it? Ravinia has done Lord
Okay.
of the Rings trilogy. And
That's
it is good.
amazing.
Yes.
Meanwhile, I was sitting in
it
an
is
empty
very
theater
good.
watching Sorcerer or wondering where everyone was. Yeah, in Star Wars when it came out in 1977.
Wasn't alive for a very long
All
time.
right. But yeah, so we got to
Was I
do that.
alive for any of those movies?
83 was the last, as far as the original trilogy goes.
Then no, I wasn't.
Great. Either was Mrs. Fun, frankly. But yeah, so COVID hit because Jedi was to finish
You don't
out
say. Tell
Yeah.
us more about that.
again the nightmare hellscape 25 months in that we're living in.
Yes. I am here appealing
That's going to take you a while. I'm surprised you don't have a little knife or something. You can score it.
I was thinking about it. I don't usually use it, but it's pretty soft right now. I might have to go get
I have a feeling you have a knife in that house somewhere.
You don't know that. You don't know that for a fact.
Anyway,
sorry, continue.
He was super gracious, and he's like, "Hey, I have access.
Yeah.
Do you want, And so we arranged, and he was able to figure out a way for us to get the tickets. And so, COVID hit though, and we didn't get to see Jedi. Everything got delayed because it didn't happen. It just didn't happen. And
Jedi's the best. Only if you use the original soundtrack though. Were they doing the original soundtrack and doing the freaking Ewok song? Because let me tell you, of the things I'm pissed about in movies, the loss of the Ewok song is up there.
Technically, that is a song. I think it's technically different than the score part. I think they consider that a song because there's the singing and the Ewok language in it. The Yub Yub song. Is that what you're talking about? I don't know if that's... I could be wrong. I don't think they classify that as part of the score. I think they classify that as like a song. That's why he ripped it out and then put the score over the top of it.
I'm just going to say...
I could be wrong. Mm-hmm.
That seems like a cop-out to not hire a whole bunch of Ewoks for your show. I'm just saying. Seems like a cop-out to not be putting money in the pockets of Ewoks.
They don't normally have as far as I know, Sergio can correct us. They don't normally have choruses at the Symphony Orchestra.
They do at Ravinia.
1 point to Ravinia then. Ting. There you go.
Anyway.
But yeah, so it didn't happen. And so as this Nightmare Hellscape is getting better.
Sorry, I don't mean to be an asshole to Sergio, who's very nice and gets you tickets to things. And I'm sitting here being like, well, it's not Ravinia.
Well,
I don't want to be that person.
He has the access. So just tell him you like something.
Did you just do an access? Did you do an air quotes on an access?
Are you?
Okay.
Don't be her. Don't be her. Don't use air quotes.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it will be the special edition, so we will hear the new. Yeah, it's the score song because the other one's more like a song. But anyway, he knows Childress is obviously a big Jurassic Park fan, and in turn, I'm a John Williams fan. So as these tickets became available, he let Childress know, and so he's like, "Look, Jedi's coming, but Jurassic's before it. Do you want access to both?" And we were like,
"Yes, please."
Yes. Because I'll see anything John Williams. I don't care what it is. And so,
really, I could probably find some really shitty things that you could watch.
Lost in Space, he did the original theme. Did you know that?
The original theme? Like
the
TV
original
show?
black and white TV show. He was part of. It was like when he was in college or something. Sergio said he helped score it or write
out.
it. But it's we got to go again. Thank you very much.
So it wasn't
Sergio.
the Matt LeBlanc Lost in Space. Is that what you're saying?
No, it is not. I have a soft spot for that movie. I kind of like that movie. People crap on it all the time, and I kind of like it.
The Heather Graham Lost in Space.
That ain't bad either.
I hate that. That's when oh my god, now I'm gonna forget his name. The actor who just passed, who is lovely, who's in Lost in Space.
Oh god, I don't.
And now Eric's gonna skewer me. Eric is about to murder me. I just want you to be aware that Eric is gonna murder me.
It's not William Hurt, I can't remember his name.
Is it
you
William
mean the
Hurt?
dad?
The dad.
Is it William Hurt? I think I have that wrong. Sergio.
I think it's William Hurt, but like, why do I feel like that's wrong? I'm pretty sure it's William Hurt.
I'm gonna have to look it up now. Lost in Space. IMDb. So, not the TV series, 1988.
I'm pretty sure it's William Hurt, but
William Hurt.
It was one of those. Yes, I'm right.
He did pass away, did he not? He did?
Very recently, like in the last
right.
couple days.
Oh my god, that's crazy. That's right.
I know, but I hate that that's where my mind went, was I was like, oh yeah, Lost in Space. And I was like, oh wait, all those other very important movies that he was involved in. Shit.
Yeah.
I went to Lost in Space.
I kind of like that movie. But yeah, so we got to go, and if you've never been, Eric has talked about this before, but if you've never been to the Chicago Symphony Orchestra in general, I mean, obviously the building's iconic in Chicago.
Oh,
and
yeah,
then you
gorgeous.
go inside, and I mean, it's like a cathedral. I mean, it's just amazing. It's beautiful, and it sounds so good in there. And then you sit down. There's not a bad seat in the house. I mean, we're just, there's no bad seat in the house. And again, you're there for the music anyway, and so really all you got to do is close your eyes, and you can just, it's like you're listening to a pre-recorded. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that like it is absolutely note for note perfect. You never hear anybody make one mistake. it is breathtaking to watch these people who have I've said this before, like your 10,000 hours, they say that as far as your expertise in a subject or whatever. These people are on like 50,000 hours. You can just tell, like, they live with these instruments. Like, these instruments are their lives, and they're also playing the movie. Yeah. So literally, they're literally making a living at it. But they cut the score out of the movie. And so it's just the movie on the screen. Yeah. And then the conductor comes up and boom, it's even the intro, the old Fox intro, to the movie, the whole thing, like every little bit of scored music gets played. And then to do the intermission, they create, or they use another piece, I'm guessing, because it's clearly not the same music, but they lead out with another probably 15 seconds of sort of carrying on that note at the end. In this case, it was a Diphalosaurus, sort of the little spinning lizard.
Dilophosaurus.
There you go. Good, thank you.
I'm making it up to see if that's actually true, but I'm pretty sure.
Now you're making it. Okay, so we can't even take that.
I just want to let you know, Eric, a lot of me is just saying things and pretending they're facts.
So I should just say lies.
No, not lies,
okay.
Just confidence.
Oh, okay. Hey, I wish I had more of it. But yeah, it was at the spinning scene, and so he gets hit, something happens, and then intermission comes up, and they kind of segue into like this another 15 or 20 seconds of what seems like maybe original music, or maybe there's intermission music written for situations like that. I doubt it. It's a movie score. But anyway, they do that. They let you up, stretch your legs. They bring you back. They begin to play another 15 seconds or so of that music in the dark. And then you can watch the conductor. He has a monitor, and there's a bar going across every so many seconds. And it's like a yellow dot, yellow dot, yellow dot, yellow dot. And then the red dot comes up, and the bar starts to move. And then he hits it, and the movie immediately starts to play, and he kicks right back into that where the music stopped before intermission. And they just start playing the score again until the movie's over. It is the craziest thing you've ever seen. It is absolutely breathtaking to watch. You can close your eyes and enjoy it just as much. And you get to watch Jurassic Park at the same time. Like, how you can't lose.
No, you can't. It's so good. It's so good.
I think they've done Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings is awesome.
I think they have. I mean, obviously you're a Lord of the Rings fan. By the way, I forgot.
Especially the Lord of the Rings movies. I'm not. Sure. I have yet to get through any real part of the book. I tried when the first movie came out. I was a really big fan, so I decided to read the second book because I was a really big fan of the first book, the first movie. And I got through the entire first half with Aragorn and Helm's Deep and all that stuff, and I was like, I'm waiting for it to get better and interesting. And then that section ended, and I was like, okay, maybe I don't need to read this.
I'll have to admit, I've never read them myself, but I appreciate someone like Stephen Colbert. Have you ever watched him talk about Lord of the Rings?
Oh, my God. You saw the Lord of the Rings rap, right?
Yeah, and he can quote whole sections of the book. He can redo the rhyme of the Silmarillion. He knows the whole rhyme.
And I love that he's become best friends with Dominic Moynihan and...
he got a stinger.
Billy Boyd.
They gave him one.
What?
They gave him a stinger, right? Is the sword, the little sword, the Hobbit sword? Sting. They gave him one. He has one from the movie. They gave him one, official one. And so
you know that they gave him a small part in The Hobbit.
No.
He's like cameo in The Hobbit.
Okay.
He's not even like has a line or anything. He's literally just like guy at like River Lake and be like with an eye patch, and he's like like that's it.
That's all he wanted. He just wanted to be there.
Shit.
Got to go to New Zealand, got to dress up like something goofy.
I am sure he lost his mind. I went to New Zealand. I went to New Zealand 2 years ago to go to Hobbit stuff and see all the filming locations and go to the Weta workshop, and it is amazing. I highly recommend going beyond anything. Go to New Zealand. I'm not kidding. And also I'm eating now because I got.
How do you eat a pomegranate? You punched a hole in the side of it.
I did.
What? How do you get the stuff out? You don't even have a spoon.
Carefully. It's just seeds. You just pick out the seeds.
Sure.
Carefully.
But yeah,
it's like high risk. It's like a high risk puzzle.
You just tip it over and they all tumble out, right?
Yeah, that's how that goes.
Shake it like a maraca or something. Shake it like a noisemaker.
That's how pomegranate works. No, I'm a crazy
but
person.
Yeah, I know it's cost prohibitive. It's not cheap to go to the Chicago Symphony Orchestra. I get it, and I know the tickets are hard to come by. But while we were there, another cool thing happened was as we approached the building, from the Miracle Mile or whatever, from the park, the Bean, there must have been 200 what appeared to be high school students. They had like leather jackets on and stuff, so you knew that they were probably of that age, maybe college. And we walk up to get in line, and the kid at the end was kind of like, yeah, you don't need to wait by us for a special line. I was like, are you going to the orchestra? And they're like, yeah. And then I caught the patches on their jackets, and they were like horns and, woodwinds and stuff. So drums. And so then I caught, Tolkien just ripped off the ring from Wagner's opera, Cycle de Ring. Oh, I'm going to mutilate this, Sergio. I'm not even going to try. Cycle de Ring des Nibelungen. I'm sure that sounds exactly like
that. Sounds completely accurate. I think that is the scholarly way of saying it.
It was literally he showed the CD of that particular thing that Tolkien supposedly ripped it off. It was one of his things he mentioned. But there was this huge, probably good 100 kids in line. And then I was like, oh, okay. So we walked around, and then we realized there were chaperones. It was what appeared to be a school had saved money and brought their entire band to go to see Jurassic Park be played by the Chicago Symphony Orchestra.
That sounds right. Yeah. Well, because they'll offer, and mind you, they're expensive tickets, but
they're not cheap.
They'll offer special rates for schools and for groups, because it is not easy to make money as an orchestra in the modern day and age.
And but it's worth it. And that's exactly my point.
Oh, yeah.
It's not even, the price of the movie. People go, oh, $25. So, I don't want to pay that for a movie or whatever for two people. Like, yeah, it's going to cost you 10 times that much to go with you and like a second person to the orchestra. But you are never going to experience music like this in that setting, watching the movie, watching them play it live. It is one of the most spectacular things to watch. I mean, I wish I had the appreciation like Sergio does to watch other styles of
watch other music. I really want to experience it, but only if it involves Jurassic Park.
Again, if it's an Ode to Joy from Die Hard, I'm going to watch it. But it's other than that, I
love that you have Ode to Joy from Die Hard, not Ode to Joy.
No,
Ode to Joy
doesn't matter.
From Die Hard.
Doesn't matter. It's now Ode to Joy from Die Hard. That's it. Die Hard changed everything. That we're gonna get into that, by the way.
Hundreds of years that song's been around, but Ode to Joy from Die Hard.
Symphony Number 9, I think, is what it really called. But anyway, it's it's obviously gonna cost you more, but it is an experience. Even if you just do it once, go online. I know other cities have orchestras that do this, but Chicago does it often. I think it's like 4, 5, 6 times a year. They do a particular movie. Look it up, even if it's not this year, save some money up, and if it's next year and it's Lord of the Rings or it's, whatever comes up and it's a movie you like.
So good.
You got to go. You got to at least do it once.
It really is.
It is. It's just spectacular.
Well, and it's the kind of thing, I'm one of those people, and I'm sure you are too. I know Eric is. There's something about movie magic. And when you get older and you've seen enough movies, and especially with streaming and especially being home, like you kind of lose a lot of the movie magic when you see movies. And when you witness it in that way, that's where the magic is. The magic comes back.
Yeah.
That I've written that in more of a commercial way, but I don't care.
But
it's true.
It's true. It's true. Yeah, I was right. Symphony Number 9. Sergio just says, yes, I thought it was from Beethoven's Symphony Number 9. See,
like I know the
real title. I know the real title. But it's Ode to Joy.
So Symphony Number 9 of Die Hard.
Yes, right. Exactly. Exactly. So what's your number 2?
My number 2. Which one do I want to talk about first? So my number 2 is mildly ridiculous, and it directly plays into this pomegranate right now.
Okay.
I am obsessed with, not obsessed. I'm not obsessed. People will say I'm obsessed. A lot of people are going to say I'm obsessed. But I'm a big fan of, and it's a family thing, a lovely little thing called Fiestaware. Are you familiar?
So I will only bring her up in this one case. Not that it's bad. We're amicable. But my ex-wife used to collect old school, what is it, uranium Fiestaware? It has uranium.
That sounds right. Yep.
I think it's uranium.
Yep.
Yeah, every once in a while when we would see it, she'd run over and she knew the codes on back, right? The
Yep.
pressing or the
87.
Whatever it's called. So yeah, we had some of the uranium stuff. Yeah.
All the orange and some of the red.
Green, blue, whatever the colors were that were uranium specific. Yeah.
So this is what I'm using right now. I am in love with Fiestaware. I have a very specific, I think it's 7 colors that I collect. It started as a family thing. My cousin collects all the colors. It is bright and vibrant, and it makes your kitchen super colorful, which I'm a big fan of. So for like 6 years, I was a stage manager and I worked at a restaurant at the same time. And as a stage manager and go figure in the restaurants that I was working at, I had to wear black all the time. And that was not fun for me. I like color. I like beautiful things. I like vibrancy. And so just having that in like my day-to-day stuff where like I get to collect it, it's fun, it's interesting. And it also is the thing like I eat my cereal out of. Like this is like the kind of investment I want in my everyday stuff.
Not the uranium stuff though, right? You don't
no,
eat your
not
cereal
the
out of
uranium.
it.
My stuff is all post 1987, which I believe is when they stopped doing the uranium.
I don't know.
Here's my peacock. This is one of my favorite colors. Blue.
Yeah, it's like a bluish-green. Am I seeing that right?
Blue.
Yeah.
It's very bright, vibrant blue.
Okay.
You can't tell. It's probably because my background is not very helping.
Okay.
There you go.
The other one was green. Do you have any fun orange? The orange is always, I like the orange color.
I do have fun orange. All my Fiestaware is upstairs though.
Okay.
But I have the tangerine, which I love. It's very bright and orange. But I keep mostly the earth tones. Like I've got brown, I've got green, I've got ivory. I've got like dark, like I've got like a forest green, like a dark, the evergreen color. So like, yeah, this is literally what got me through COVID in a lot of ways. I had to, because I discovered the Fiestaware groups on Facebook.
Uh-oh.
Let me tell you, I did not realize how scary fandoms can get until you join groups on Facebook. Whoa. Especially with this where it's like, oh, I'm looking for Peacock. Oh, I've got Peacock. Let me just quick Venmo me $20 and I ended up spending so much money on Fiestaware. I literally had to be like, okay, I'm allowing myself to buy this, but I'm leaving these groups for a year. And I have not gone back. I'm too afraid to go back because if I do, I'm going to end up like scoping these out and buying a bunch of Fiestaware. And I don't have any more space is my other problem.
Have you gotten the route of like estate sales, garage sales? Do you go and look for Fiestaware?
I haven't gotten that far. What I did though was my mother and I during COVID for the first time made a trip to the factory in West Virginia.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So
and
you're talking current Fiestaware. They're still making it, the newer stuff.
Well, it's current and past like at the factory they have everything basically. Okay. I actually hate all of their current colors right now. They took this lovely green color. They stopped making and started making a just enough different that it looks like crap color version of it.
Not
and the same thing with my orange
color.
No.
You mean crappy green?
It's crappy green. I don't like it. So I don't really like the colors that they currently have. They kind of gotten rid of all of my favorite colors. So I'm very sad. But they did have what they have. Okay. So I went twice in the last year.
Wait, twice to the factory?
Yeah, I went to the factory twice.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm that person. So they have these like annual sales. And when I went the first time, they have like annual sales and then they have like semi-annual sales. So I went semi-annual one with my mom. And then my cousin got really jealous that we went. And so my cousin and I went to the big annual sale. And oh my God, was that intense.
So, could
and
you do
literally in a tent and also in tents.
Can you do me a favor? Mrs. Fun
Yes.
said, did she already show the Fiesta stuff? Can you hold up the 2 bowls again? I think
Why?
she'd like to see them.
Who's asking?
Mrs. Fun upstairs.
Oh,
so there's the green.
This is sage, and this is peacock.
But that's more. The blue one is more like a traditional newer bowl. The other one has like a shallower, right?
These are both. They currently make both of these kinds of bowls.
Okay.
There are so many kinds of bowls, and I could tell you exactly what colors they are, and I could tell you exactly what shape they are. And this is who I am now. I don't know how I got here, but this is who I am now. I'm looking for a picture I'll share with you about at the place at this giant tent sale. So here is me and my cousin with the pole after we went to the sale. You see, we got t-shirts.
Like boxes.
We got matching Fiestaware t-shirts as well.
Hold on. I would never, for lack of a better term, kink shame you. It's you. So they sold those Fiestaware shirts at the place, or you bought them ahead of time to go there?
No, we made them. No, yes, we bought them at the place.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, I get it. I get it. We bought them at the place.
Oh, okay. All right. Those are like boxes.
Yeah, we filled up our car. Yeah.
Mrs. Fun says pretty.
Yeah, right. So I didn't take a picture of the full tent. This makes me very sad. But they literally have just like boxes.
Oh my gosh.
Just filled.
The teapots. I remember the teapots, the boats.
That's one of my favorite colors. This is the evergreen.
Okay.
But you just like these giant wooden crates, then just full of this Fiestaware. And it's all like crazy reduced prices because they're all supposed to be like second. So they all have like little flaws here and there, but you're like, you don't care. But like plates are $5. Like these things, you understand that like this bowl on the regular market is like between like $12 and $15.
Oh yeah.
And I would get this at the tent sale for $5. So
half price.
More than half price.
Yeah.
Like ridiculous. I found the thing that got me, and like this is when I go crazy a little bit because, for example, the evergreen, the teapot I just showed you, they don't make them anymore.
Sure.
They don't make that color anymore.
I remember that being a big thing. We would go somewhere and I'd be told, nope, they don't make that color. This ended at this year. I need to grab that, or this is this and that. It was very specific.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they don't make that color anymore. They don't make any of my colors anymore, actually, at this point. So I get a little antsy going to these but at this tent sale, not only did they have this teapot in this color that I have that's expired for $8, they had a pedestal bowl, which is my favorite kind of bowl. Let me see if there's a photo of one. I don't think I do. Ooh, I can't really tell. But this is the pedestal bowl. It kind of looks like this with the little bottom.
Right.
But then it's bigger and like goes out more.
I found that not in as shallow. You mean it's just deeper as far as the bowl part?
A little bit deeper. Okay. Like it's like a presentation bowl.
Okay.
Wow, I'm really.
I've never heard of a presentation bowl, but I think I can figure it out.
Presentation bowl.
Okay.
And I found one in my color that had been expired for 12 years. They stopped making that bowl. They stopped making that color. And I found it for $6 at this place. And I was just like, I died. I was so ridiculously happy.
See, this is the evil side of fandom. Did you buy extra to flip?
No.
See, good on you.
No, see, because here's the thing.
Good on you.
This is something that I value a lot. Like, and here's the thing. What I should have done, because when we were there, no, here's the thing. Not for this, because nobody really gave a shit about that. But while we were there, they had pulled out new vases. They had a new vase that was out, but it was in a color I didn't want because I don't collect the newer colors. But if I had gotten it, and then I could have sold it for 3 times that.
Oh, easily.
And like I was like, why didn't I do that? But then I was like, I don't want to do it.
But that's good. Good on you.
They have cake plates coming out. Okay, they have cake plates coming out, and they're constantly selling out. And I want one really bad.
So, maybe I don't know what that is. Is that the display stand when you say cake plate with the pedestal and then the dome?
Yes.
So that would
except
mean
without
it would need
the dome.
to be. Oh, okay. I was gonna say you'd have to be clear. If Fiesta was normally not clear. So
not
it just
clear.
doesn't
No,
have a
it's
lid.
just the plate part. So it's just the stand and then the plate and then a matching like serving place.
I suppose you could probably get an aftermarket like glass dome for it if you really wanted it.
You could. I mean, sure. If I can get one, they've sold out like 6 times. And the thing is, they're making it in like 4 colors now, and they don't make it in any of my colors. So I'm gonna have to get one that's white. And I'm like, I don't even care because I just want a cake plate real bad. These are I've just realized that this podcast is just me expressing all the extremely nerdy things that are in my life at all times.
But that's what this is. Does it bring you joy?
Right?
I'm not.
It does. It brings me so much joy.
Who's the woman that organizes everything?
Marie Kondo.
Yes. And her thing, right, is if it doesn't bring you joy, get rid of it. Mine's the opposite.
Now,
what brings you joy?
Yes.
Yeah.
If I could find a pedestal bowl in this color, the peacock color, I would just be so beyond happy. They don't even make it in the sage. They don't even make it in this color.
Do they have like a website where you could go on and ask for like, I really would love this if this was in blue, or whatever.
No, this is what's so crazy about the Fiestaware world is that they're constantly changing the colors, and they're like hitting the point where they've run out of colors. Like seriously. Another problem is they've got like 3 purples now, like 4 or 5 purples actually, and they all look so alike. I literally had to bring a piece of my purple and like compare it to other things in that thing because I was like, you can't tell the difference between them. It's very upsetting.
Did they have? And now I'm curious.
But it's a limited edition thing. So now if they brought back any of the colors that they used before, then it's a whole. You've lost your value on it, and yeah.
But even then, you have the older version. It's because it's dated, and when they bake
vintage.
it, right? Right. At their museum or the factory, did they have any of the old uranium pieces in the wall? Yeah.
I don't know if they had the old uranium pieces. I think they had older pieces. They had interesting things. I don't know about the uranium specifically because, that might cause cancer and become a health hazard.
Yeah. I want to say at one point, we probably had about 20 to 30 pieces of the uranium stuff in the house.
Only 20 to 30 pieces?
Yeah, I know. But that's the thing is because if they really knew what it was, she would go ask. And, of course, like a bowl was like $50 or something ridiculous because you can't eat out of it. You're going to give yourself cancer.
Let me tell you,
and
though,
so it was just
she
for
goes
display.
on,
I don't even know
what she's doing now,
but yeah,
Facebook now. Yeah. On Facebook now, you'll find somebody who's looking to get rid of one in Oklahoma, and they'll ship it to you, and it's only $30, and then that's how you.
How do you trust that stuff getting shipped? One little minor bump, and that stuff's gonna.
That's a big issue that we talk. That's a big issue we talk about in the groups.
In your groups,
is shipping.
Yes.
And making sure things get there on time. I actually sent one to. I did a trade on a thing that got damaged. And it was
nice.
Very sad.
See, it's geeky, but it's not what people would traditionally call geeky. It's bowls and kitchenware. And
it totally is. And so many people I know that I'm crazy about this. Like, it's kind of one of those like, oh, you like this too much. Like, yeah. I was at a bridal shower. It was my friend's bridal shower. My male best friend's bridal shower. So I'm at his bridal shower, but it's really his fiance's bridal shower. So already that awkwardness. Add to that, someone got her a Fiestaware platter, and I was like, "You collect Fiestaware? Oh my!" Then I started going, and I just watched the whole room just be like, "Oh, you're a little crazy about this." I was like, "Okay, I'll just go sit over here. It's fine. Never mind. I'll go be normal about my dishware now."
Yeah, once you find someone with your same level of silliness and whatever it is that you like, it's kind of nice in a way, but then it's also scary. Yeah.
Problematic.
I have I'm a big Masters of the Universe guy, and I got a buddy. He'll probably be on here one of these days. He did finally say he wanted to be on, but he anytime we see anything Masters of the Universe. Tweets, this, that, new product coming out.
I wish you had told me because I led a fundraiser for my theater company over the summer, and one of the prizes was a giant book of all of the Masters of the Universe toys that ever existed.
I have that book, but thank you. Yes, it's the big coffee table one, a big heavy bound.
Yeah,
yes,
big chunker.
They have two. They have one that's the art of, and then they have one that's just all the toys they ever put out. So like
Yes.
they have one that's like
It
all
was the
about
toys.
packaging, and then one, yeah, it's fantastic.
I remember my favorite part of this though is that I remember picking that up as a donation and being like, who would want this?
Me.
Apparently you would want this. And now
Me.
I know. Now I know what I'm dealing with.
I'll take it one step further. I pre-ordered it.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, okay.
So
You're number
Fiestaware.
2. We are only on 3 of 6.
That's
We are in
okay.
trouble. It's been so long. We're gonna be going forever.
We mentioned, well, this might go a little bit quicker because my third one is going to take a while. But the second one, you had said you don't really play video games much.
I don't really.
So
no.
everything I'm going to say now is going to sound like gibberish. Possibly.
I don't play video games. I know video games.
Have you heard of Borderlands? So here's how we'll approach this. So you know what Borderlands is. Okay, great.
Yes.
Awesome. So you know what Borderlands is. Let's tell everybody else. Now I want you. This is up to you if you want to do it. I want you to explain from your viewpoint what Borderlands is to people who don't know what Borderlands is.
Okay, so Borderlands is a post-apocalyptic world that kind of reminds you of Mad Max. And to this day, it's got this little logo dude that's like got a shiny face on him. And to this day, I don't know the point of the game or what you're supposed to be doing, except, I don't know, scouring the world for stuff. I don't know. It's very weird. I don't get the point of it, is my problem with Borderlands. I don't get the point of Borderlands.
It's a story-based first-person shooter, meaning all you see for the people who
what
don't know.
is the story?
It is there are things called vault hunters, and they go in the first game, they go to a specific planet. The idea is that the planet has a vault on it that was supposed to unlock, or it's, you know, like when the apocalypse was happening, something's in the vault. It's like
sounds like The Witcher.
Han Solo-y, kind of going and scavenging, getting things, and they break into these vaults and get stuff out of it.
Of course you called it Han Solo-y. This is why people like Borderlands. They think they're Han Solo.
I'm trying to get it. A pirate, how about that? Although pirates have a bad connotation. But anyway, the
pirates have a bit. You think anything in Borderlands involves having a good connotation, you're probably going to be doing bad things.
True. Well, you're shooting people in the face, mostly. But also, like, animals and things that are attacking you. Hey, they shot at me first. That's what Han said, too.
Did the animal shoot at you first?
No, they tried to bite you, though. But everything you say sounds like gibberish. What's the difference, Sergio?
We're going to not. I'm just going to say right now, we are not getting into a Han Solo who shot who first debate.
But the idea is you're searching for riches or glory or whatever. These vaults have these things there. But the beauty of it is when it first came out is they changed the original art style. It's supposed to be semi-realistic, very Mad Maxy. They changed it to what they call cell shading. It looks like a cartoon, a moving cartoon, but you're playing it. So it has these large black lines around everything. And
they wanted to get away with all the pillaging and murdering.
It looks way more cartoony. You're right about that. And everything is ridiculous. Everybody has crazy over-the-top accents. Everybody's screaming for no reason. They all talk loud. The music is out of control. There's literally a guy called Torque.
You're doing a great job of selling this right now,
because
Eric.
it's awesome. It's awesome in its ridiculousness. If you can't handle like crazy, over-the-top, ridiculous people just being loud and crazy and stupid for no reason, then yeah, this is not the game for you. But
I have a theater degree, and even I am just your description. I'm like, I don't know if I could handle it.
The ridiculousness is the draw, and it looks like a living cartoon. You're shooting things that looks like a cartoon. You're adventuring. You're leveling up. You're getting new guns. You're doing these things. A little bit more progress. Still no spoon. Very surprised.
There's no spoon coming into this. Anyway, sorry, continue.
But Borderlands 2 came out, and they did a DLC for it. And it was called Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon's Keep. And there's a character...
Heard about that.
Okay. So, Tiny Tina, for people who don't know, is a character they added to the game. And it's like this 14-year-old girl who has... Her whole life is blowing crap up. Like, she talks about is blowing stuff up. She has these silly, like, witticisms, and everything is crazy again. The idea behind this little DLC they added to the game was the main characters of the game, you're running around shooting, doing all this stuff, and you meet her and you do little missions for her. But the DLC was the beginning of the story, they show her explaining that she wants to play their world's version of Dungeons and Dragons called Bunkers and Badasses. And they have the characters from the game sitting around the table in the little cinematic. And then as the character, you get to create a new character. And everything in the game now looks the same, but they have like wizard's hats on, and your guns are, instead of it being a gun, looks like the Chewbacca like crossbow gun. And there's arrows, and instead of you using your kind of cosmic powers, there's a girl in the game where you can you kind of have like Jedi powers. In this case, you have like wizard powers, but the entire thing while you're playing this now little DLC pack that looks like Dungeons and Dragons instead is there's this ever-present Tiny Tina voice screaming at you the whole time in a fun way, telling jokes and being like, you got to get that wizard. That wizard, he's a pain in the ass. You got to go blow his ass up. And she's just screaming.
Go blow his ass up.
Yeah, and she's out of control, and it's fun and silly. And that was it. It came out in 2013. It was no big deal. Well, since then, a like 2.5 Borderlands game came out, and then 3 came out, and this other game got fast-tracked, so they did kind of a pseudo-sequel to the DLC, but this is a full game that came out called Tiny Tina's Wonderlands.
Ooh.
And the whole idea is it's these new people landed there.
This sounds interesting. This sounds more interesting than Borderlands.
She's doing it again, basically, and she wants them to play Bunkers and Badasses with her. And so you now create a character. This whole game, though, is in that style of you're playing this shooting game that's outrageous and crazy, and everybody's screaming and being ridiculous, and I can't even do it justice how ridiculous. But I am going to drop a link like I do to everything we talk about in the notes and everything, so you can take a look for yourself. But in this case, it's Tiny Tina the whole time, and it's in this weird fantasy Lord of the Rings / Mad
Loving
Max
it already. Loving it already.
First-person shooter / ridiculous cartoon, Looney Tunesy cartoon. And there's even on the screen at the beginning where they're like waiting to start to play, they have all these little in-jokes because you're like on a board, kind of. And in the background, there's like hills and mountains. All of a sudden, you'll see a big, giant, disembodied Tiny Tina head come up over the mountain and kind of look down like she's looking at the Bunkers and Badasses game board that your camera view is sitting on. But it's her big head, like looking down, hey, like looking at everybody. That tells you how ridiculous this is. One way to get from one side of the edge, the bridge is broken. So what you do is you go over to this big giant catapult, you put explosives on the back of it, you get on it, you shoot the explosives, and the catapult shoots you across a chasm to the other side. Of course, you're completely safe. Makes no sense. It's completely ridiculous.
You have to roll for initiative, and then you should be fine.
So the hidden things, or the things you have to find in each level, are 20-sided die, D20s. Yeah, and so that's you hit it and it spins, and then depending, I think there's an RNG, random number generator segment to it where I think if it hits a certain way, you get better loot. So you might get a better level gun depending on where it stops after you press the button.
That'd be hard.
It's ridiculous. It's fun. I've been having fun with it. That Tiny Tina voice grates on people like you wouldn't believe. But
I'm sure it does. People voices are hard to get people over. I have a friend who refuses to watch Parks and Rec because he can't handle Aziz Ansari's voice.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, this is particularly purposefully over the top and ridiculous. And I know people that can't play the Borderlands games. They just don't like the humor. They don't like the way it looks. They don't like the feel of it. And then there's a ton of fans who like the Borderlands stuff. And this one being Borderlands but not is, especially if you like Lord of the Rings and stuff, it's got a little bit of that feel to it because it's the people that attack you are skeletons instead of regular bad guys.
That changes things. Yeah, I prefer skeletons attacking me.
Instead of a regular melee weapon, you have big giant broadswords and big giant battle axes and stuff. And
I can get on board with that.
When you come out of the level, instead of just going to the next, it's a story beat, you open the castle, or you go in the castle and then you're in there. You break out to a board, like a board game top, and you
Ooh.
move a chibi version of yourself around the little board game. You're not actually playing a board game, but
I just love the chibi version.
the little okay, that's
Yeah.
awesome. So like in we talked about this. Super Mario Brothers World, Super Mario World after 3 came after 3. 3 does it too a little bit. When you break out of the level, it has like kind of the map, and you move your little Mario to the next little world.
I think so.
It's kind of like that, but 2.5D, and you move your little chibi version of your guy you created around the little map, and you break the little things to get to access to other areas. Then when you hit the castle, then you go into the castle and you do what's in there. And so it's got a lot of charm. Some people would call it irritating. I call it charm. It's fun, silly, ridiculous, and I love it.
You can't take games too seriously. You gotta just be willing to have fun with it. Like, honestly, like that's one of the things that drives me crazy about some. And mind you, I'm sure I've been one of those people who's been hardcore and doesn't want any of their original stuff to be messed with. But like, I feel like people take things too seriously sometimes.
Yep.
And then someone can turn around and tell me how I take things too seriously, because I'm sure I do all the time. So yeah, never mind. Maybe I shouldn't be sitting atop my glass house and throw some stones. So yeah.
Everybody's got their thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, this particular franchise is pretty fun, and this one's fun.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
When's it come out, or does it come out already?
It came out last week, so I've been playing it. I'll send you in particular. I'll send you a link to the trailer, and you'll.
Yeah, I want to see the trailer. I'd probably be interested in the trailer, and that's it. Be like, oh, it looks really cool.
Sir, I got Sergio. He bought a Series S.
I've been one of those people. I have no problem watching people play video games because I'm not good at video games, or at least I don't care enough to try and make myself good at video games.
Sure.
But I can appreciate a good story in a game. Like if you've got good, interesting stories. Like I remember when Red Dead Redemption came out. Like I watched someone play that. So yeah, super fun, super awesome.
Did you see 2 yet? The sequel?
Yes.
Oh, so good. Yeah,
they're
fantastic.
Wasn't the end of that weird? I can't remember. There's something about like his daughter or something.
You don't want to ruin it. I would say it, but I don't want to ruin it. The first one has a cool little weird ending, and then the second one has a twist about 3/4 of the way, and that completely changes the game.
Like I remember BioShock was really popular when I was in college, and that game is so fun to watch someone play. Scares the shit out of me. Can't even watch it sometimes.
I haven't talked about it yet, but that is one of my absolute favorite trilogies ever. Did you ever see 2, and did you ever see BioShock Infinite?
I've watched, again, I didn't watch the whole thing. I've just watched people play it, but like I did watch people play Infinite, and I heard it was very different and weird.
They tie it all together at the end. All I can say is there's always a guy, there's always a lighthouse. I can't even explain it. People who know BioShock will know exactly what I'm talking about.
All of my internal organs just groaned at the same time when you said that. So
yes.
Yeah.
It's one of my absolute favorite trilogies ever. Mrs. Fun has watched me play through them. She loves it. She tends to watch me play games like that more than she'll play Animal Crossing. She is probably up there doing it right now. But yeah, she's like you. She likes watching the stories as opposed to playing them necessarily. Although we've been playing the Portal 2 multiplayer, where you 2 little robots and you shoot these portal guns, and you have to it's kind of like a big puzzle game, and you walk your way through it. It's interesting. It's a fun time.
You know what Portal is?
Yeah. For people who don't know.
For people who don't know.
Did you play or did you see Portal 2?
No, I haven't played Portal. I haven't really seen it either, but people talk to me about Portal all the time.
Fun. That's a good twist at the
I've
end,
seen
too.
T-shirts about Portal. Most of my gaming experience involves T-shirts that I've seen about various games.
There you go.
I'm a big novelty T-shirt person. Speaking of, I'm wearing one right now. This is called, and I know that I'm just showing my boobs now.
Well, and it looks like Dark Souls, if you know what that is.
No.
No? Okay.
This is Gandalf, and this is the Black Knight from
Holy Grail.
Monty Python Holy Grail.
Yes.
The name of the T-shirt is An Impasse.
Nice.
I know. I love it.
Well done.
Anyway,
yes.
Is it me? Is it back to me?
Speaking of novelty shirts.
Yeah. Nice. I think I got all of that.
Yeah.
Just him, or is it the whole thing with the throne?
Just him on the throne with the skulls and the Infinity Gauntlet. Anyway, what's your number 3? See, you spilled.
So since we're talking about extremely nerdy fandoms, I'm going to talk about my nerdiest fandom, which surprisingly is not Fiestaware.
I was just gonna say nerdier than Fiestaware.
This is the greatest sci-fi television show of all time.
I think I know where this is going.
No, you don't.
Oh, we didn't discuss this earlier?
No.
Okay, all right.
Where do you think it's going?
I thought you were going Doctor Who because you already mentioned it. Oh.
Way nerdier than Doctor Who.
Well, the only other...
Doctor Who is at least mainstream. So, like, people know what it is. I'm talking deep sci-fi.
Okay, I'll give you 2. Babylon 5?
Nope, but good guess.
Firefly?
Good guess. Also
huge
mainstream.
fandom.
Huge fandom. Yes.
What did I say?
Sci-Fi
Babylon
Channel
5?
in the 2000s. How's
Stargate.
that for No, but the actors after they left this show went to Stargate, if that helps.
What's the undersea sci-fi one, the submarine one?
No, Sequest?
Sequest?
No. Not Sequest, but now I want to watch Sequest because I've never seen Sequest, and now I'm interested.
Well, now you're saying 2000s, but there's another one. Battlestar Galactica?
No. But that's good, too. It has its own thing. Though, oh my God, that's going to play into it, what I'm looking forward to. Remind me to earmark that.
I'll write it down. Battlestar Galactica.
Battlestar Galactica.
Okay, I have just said a whole bunch of really weird and varying degrees of success sci-fi shows. And not one yet.
Not one yet. Are you familiar, friend, with
Airwolf.
the television show? No.
No Airwolf?
No Airwolf.
Oh, Automan.
Nope. Are you Googling this now?
No,
are people guessing?
These are shows I know. Do you know what Automan is?
No. Should I know?
Bad Tron knockoff that's mixed with...
I mean, I was like about to say, I think I can guess based on the title.
Mixed with Knight Rider. Tron and Knight Rider.
Tron and Knight Rider. Sure, okay.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Are you familiar with a little show called Farscape?
Okay. Very Babylon 5-ish. I missed it, yes.
That's what I said. It was a good guess.
Okay.
Are you familiar, though?
I'm familiar in the sense that I used to see the commercials for it when I watched TNG.
Yes.
And all the rest of them.
Yes.
But no.
I'm also a giant Voyager fan, and I think it's the best Star Trek, and I will take that to my grave, but whatever.
It's really good.
I know, it's really good, and everyone shits on it. It bothers me.
What?
Everyone doesn't like Voyager. Everybody prefers all the other shows. Voyager's my number one.
Enterprise that they shit on.
I mean, Enterprise is almost shit on so much that it doesn't count.
It doesn't even exist.
It doesn't even exist. Everyone hates Voyager. Enterprise isn't even on the table.
I remember the guy. I'm a bit of one myself, a little bit ginger. I want to say he had almost like a lion face and red hair. I remember that kind of character always being shown in the commercials.
Oh, you mean an actual lion face? Oh,
kind of.
That would be Dargo. So Dargo is a I'm gonna forget all the words. Dargo is a Luxon, which is a warrior race. He has a sword that is both a sword and a rifle, pulse rifle. So it's like a sword and then it opens up to be a pulse rifle. So we can either have it as a sword or it can be a pulse rifle. The most does not make sense weapon you will ever see in sci-fi, but it's still pretty cool. So hard to argue.
Okay.
So Farscape is a show that was produced out of New Zealand, actually Australia, New Zealand. So all the actors on the show are from Australia and New Zealand, except for the main character, who is Ben Browder, who is an American actor. You will know him from a million side roles he did ever since Farscape, because everyone loves Ben Browder. He is the heart and soul of the show and super awesome and fun. I will explain a little bit more with the plot, but I'll just say James Gunn loves Farscape also, the director James Gunn, so much so that he actually put Ben Browder in the second Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
What was he in that?
Do you remember the Gold Woman?
Yes, I do. I know
Do
exactly.
you remember her first in command who's always with her?
Yes.
That is Ben Browder.
Okay. Okay.
So, love him. Side note. Farscape is I think it was the second time. I can't remember if it was before or after Serenity, but Farscape is one of the 3 sci-fi shows that fans were so upset it got canceled that they brought it back for a feature film.
Wait, that had a feature film?
They had a feature film for Farscape. So they did 4 seasons and then they canceled before they were ever really able to finish the story. And so they made a feature film to finish off the story. It's called Farscape Peacekeeper Wars. And it is so good.
Okay.
And it's also one of those shows that, like, very obviously is like the first season, they're still figuring things out. And so then the second season, it starts to hit the stride. And then the third season, it really hits its stride. And you're like, oh, it's so good. And then the fourth season, you're like, oh, it's so good. And then it was done. You were like, oh, no.
Did they at least get the chance to do, like, here's our ending? Or did they just cancel the show? That's the worst when they do that.
No, they just canceled the show, but then they made the movie. The movie Chef's Kiss is amazing. Is absolutely amazing. They literally start a war. Like they are the original. Like, I don't know if they're original, but so the premise of the show is you have Ben Browder, who is an astronaut, and he is dealing with wormhole technology or trying to break some astronaut thing by getting, I don't know, he's being an astronaut. They're trying to go really fast in a ship.
I like the technical terms. Breaking an astronaut thing.
Breaking an astronaut thing.
Sure. So
I can't, it's been a while since I watched the first episode because it's not really what I'm focused upon. So he does this like slingshot maneuver as part of this science experiment. He's a scientist, really. He does this slingshot maneuver that pulls him into a wormhole and sends him crazy into other parts of space. You know, sci-fi startup, as you expect. So when he gets there, he crashes into another ship and accidentally kills the pilot. He gets pulled into a prison ship. So he shows up, and there is a prison ship that is trying to break free of their captors. And so he gets pulled into the ship. They break free of the captors. And so now he is on this prison ship with these different aliens from these different other species who are all like criminals in some regard.
Okay.
And so the person who he killed is the brother of the main commando of the person who had the prison ship. So he's pissed. So he's now chasing them. So basically the whole premise of the show is these prisoners are trying to like get back home. They're all trying to like find like they'll like live outside of the law and like be one step ahead these you know big commando guys, while also like exploring this new universe we've never seen and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So,
ragtag bunch of outlaws.
Ragtag bunch of, you know, ruffians, very Serenity-esque, very you know, that kind of mentality. It's really, really fun. And it also, I forgot to mention, was done in as part of Jim Henson's productions.
Why do I know that? I don't know why, but I know that.
So, like, one of the characters is a puppet, a straight up 100% puppet. And he is awesome. And, like, you get all these really intricate details when it comes to the characters and these different, like, animations and this puppetry, and it's all gorgeous, and it's really, really well done. Highly recommend. Please, if you like sci-fi, it's very good. It does take some warming up, and it is very late 90s, early 2000s sci-fi, and yeah, it does require a special place in your heart, but yeah, highly recommend.
I remember there being a big influx. I don't want to age myself, but we've talked about it on this here before. I remember only having 257.
Oh, I do too, and 9. I had 9.
Yeah, well, 9, but there wasn't a whole lot on WGN, at least here in Chicago. But yeah, you know, the
Don't
basic.
say that WGN. Oh,
basically the big. Well, I'm not a
I'm
Cubs
not gonna
fan.
lie. People who are on WGN will probably watch this podcast.
Yeah, I know. Wait for Nick to scream at me or something. But no, it's well, maybe not now. But yeah, I
Is that
remember.
Nick DiGilio? Are we
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
Nick DiGilio? Okay. Have I told you the random thing about Nick DiGilio?
No.
I have a weird parallel life with Nick DiGilio, and I've never met Nick DiGilio.
It would be very interesting to see how your life parallels his.
So Nick DiGilio used to work with my
theater.
dad. I think my dad hired him at some point.
I have no
don't know all
idea.
the details, but so Nick DiGilio knows my dad. The theater company that I am involved with, Nick DiGilio started.
Oh, that theater. I've seen
Yeah.
a couple of his things. Okay, I know exactly where that is.
So, sorry, my alarm.
That's fine.
So, yeah, I'm a
Okay.
company member now within Nick DiGilio's theater company. I've never met him.
Well, weird.
I've been working there for 5 years, so yeah.
You'll probably meet him fairly soon.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
But yeah, I
think I
remember.
would have met him by now, but that's a whole thing. And then now my dad and I started doing a lot more stuff together. So we were hosting the Flashback Weekend Horror Convention.
Yeah.
And Nick DiGilio used to host that, and then we kind of took over for him. So again, ships passing in the night. Never met Nick DiGilio. Yet
And he's
still
not going to still be there? Like, you can't meet him there? You'd think he'd be there. He's
He
there all the
wasn't
time.
there.
Weird.
I know. I don't know. But
Weird.
now he's like friends. So I have a whole bunch of mutual friends with him. I have all these like weird connections with him. I don't even know if he knows who I am or that I exist.
I'm sure he does.
You don't know that.
I-
Why would he know that? Why would he know I exist?
Well, now that Eric talks about the podcast.
Sure.
Okay.
Right. Anyway.
I have
We'll
even
call
less.
Eric and show him
Prior
stuff
to
right
today, I had even less of a connection to you, and I knew who you were.
That's true. That's
See?
a fair point. Okay, fine.
But I remember
yeah.
when, the
We're
proliferation
not
of
talking
like
about this. How did we get off on this tangent? I don't know.
tangents are fine. But
Yeah.
I remember the proliferation of like Channel 32 here in Chicago, the
Mhm.
Fox affiliate, and then the UPNs of the day, all this stuff. And
The UPNs of the day.
well, because it was like everything started channels. It went from 3
Oh, yeah.
to 100 immediately, and now everybody just goes, "Well, there's 100
yeah.
channels on cable." There wasn't. There wasn't cable, and then B, when you did have cable, there was like 5 good channels. Well,
It's weird to
everyone
be
started-
alive for the entirety of cable being of cable's existence, because I'm pretty sure cable will no longer exist in the next 20 years.
Well, I was
Because
joking
everything's streaming.
with children. So I remember going to see my cousin. I mean, I was very little. I remember going to see my cousin, and they got the HBO.
The HBO.
There was no cable. You just paid for HBO, and then you had a dish, and you got HBO. There was
And
no
now
cable.
you've basically got that now.
You could do it on your phone while you're on a roller coaster out in the middle of the ocean, and you could probably still watch HBO.
I mean, I don't know what the roller
yes.
coaster's doing in the middle of the ocean, but yeah, you can do that.
It's like Busch Gardens or something. There's alligators. I don't know.
Sure.
But
Sure.
but yeah, I remember UPN starting with, we're gonna make a new Star Trek show, and it was huge. It was
that
crazy.
Next Gen?
What? Yeah, the Next
That Next
Generation. It was crazy that they were. Maybe that was
I
on.
miss the originals, like the first 3 Star Trek shows. I hate the new ones. They drive me insane. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, maybe
interrupt
UPN.
you.
No, you know what? UPN was Discovery, and
Deep Space Nine?
Deep Space Nine. I think that's what started UPN. But the Next Generation was on 64 or TBS or something. But
That makes sense because Deep Space Nine is
Right.
a little.
yeah, the
UPN-y.
two of them were added to start UPN, and then they pulled because the whole thing was syndication, and it was all
Mhm.
these independent companies instead of you just working for CBS or ABC or whatever, and even Fox at the time. Now you got the Big Four channel. You now you have 4 channels, or you have HBO. Now it's just these companies just being like, we're just gonna fund and make a TV show, and hopefully someone buys it. And I remember that becoming huge. And then once the Next Generation, which is really what did it, it was like, oh, we can make a ton of money and sell our show, and everywhere across the country is going to pay us for it. Everybody started doing it. Babylon 5, Stargate, all these shows started popping up, and I remember
The
being like,
Sci-Fi
oh my...
Channel back in its heyday when it was on, it was just one right after the other of crazy sci-fi show, and I loved it. I loved every minute of
It's
it.
a very long roundabout getting back to, and that's amongst the pile of new shows. I remember Farscape. I just remember the ads all the time. I remember that guy that I described.
Awesome.
That's all I ever knew of it.
You should try it. I feel like if you like sci-fi, I feel like you could give it a try. Though I've tried to sell people on it. The problem is they start with one bad guy, and by the end of season 1 or 2, there's a new bad guy, and it's the new bad guy where it really sings.
He's the good. So they hit their stride by the end of the first season.
Oh,
okay.
First season or second season, one of them. Yes.
So this will tell you how much of a fan you are. Normally, so far, I'll grab a Click, or Childress will grab a V DVD set, or Sergio will grab his compilation of composer CDs and show me. Do you have the seasons of Farscape on DVD?
Yeah.
Where are they?
All 4 of them. They're upstairs in my Rumo DVD sets. So I was thinking about getting the Blu-ray because I have all the like original, like super awesome jam-pack ones. So they're all like big and thick. They're all like, you know, all the DVDs like have like hours of promotional material in them. Like, yeah.
And you got, it was always like 12 discs because they couldn't fit enough. Yeah.
I also have the 9-disc set of all the Alien movies.
Well, you have to.
No, that's just the original 4.
Yeah. What is it? Didn't they call it the Quintology or Quintel? I don't know.
I call it the great sequel, and then there's no other movies.
Yeah, they're all.
I don't hate Resurrection, but still.
Yeah, it's all right.
Okay. One of the main reasons I don't hate Resurrection is I don't have to pretend that Alien 3 doesn't exist because I can still pretend that it doesn't exist.
Just jump time all the way to 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I'll write that down. I got Farscape down here. I'm sure it's streaming somewhere. Have you seen it?
Is
it streaming? Where
Amazon.
is it? Yeah. Perfect.
Amazon, and it's actually going to start streaming on a couple other things that are like, you know, random apps.
Sure. All right. Farscape.
Telling you, man. It's good stuff.
So my number 3.
Really like sci-fi.
Well, see, that doesn't sell it. Now you're making it sound like it's a oh boy, you're going to hate this, but you should watch it.
I wouldn't say it's the most original, but it's good.
It doesn't have to be original to bring you joy. Sometimes a good copycat is good.
Yep. Anyway, continue. Sorry.
Look at Avatar. It's the highest grossing movie ever.
And it's just Ferngullian Blue.
Or Dances with Wolves, or you gonna.
And I'm
there's
still
like 20
amazed they're gonna make 3 more of those. 20 years after anyone cared what that movie was about, and somehow this is how you make movies in modern day.
When you got like $40 billion,
why isn't James Cameron making a new Alien 3 instead of the 4th or 5th?
I think he's got some juice in the Avatar game. I think he has partial ownership in that. It would be, he used to just give up his salary for points and stuff. So like, it makes sense that he probably has a little George Lucas merchandising rights or something going on. That
mean, they got a whole land over there at frickin' Disney. So yeah.
My number 3 is a little bittersweet, but like Eric did for John Williams, he said, hey, you know what we got to start doing is we got to start talking about people who are still alive that are awesome.
Yes.
You know, and that was John Williams. He's 90-something years old. We probably only got a couple good years left.
Don't say that.
I'm being pragmatic. We were just talking about that, you know. But again, but in a good way. The guy is amazing, right? So if you hear he's going to be by your house doing something, you should run. Paul McCartney's another one. Like, he seems to be healthy as a horse. But, like, if I can afford to, I would love to show up. I would just like to go see him live. One time before I die, I would like to go see him live. Well, something was announced this week.
I think I know exactly. I was about to cut in on it, but then I was like, I bet this is where he's going, so never mind.
This whole week has been kind of emotional for me in a lot of reasons. And I know this sounds weird to be emotional over this guy, but
no, it's not.
It's literally 2 of my absolute favorite things ever. You know, like I like comic books, I like all this stuff, but like two things made the biggest impression on me in my entire life, and they both happened to involve this man. And the other day, he was.
That made me cry.
I know, I'm even tearing up a little bit. He was diagnosed with something which I just learned about. I've never even heard of it. It's called aphasia, and the person I'm talking about is Bruce Willis. And the real sad part is John Williams. He's still kind of around doing stuff. He's less out there, but like every once in a while he'll show up, and you still kind of get your little fix of John Williams. You know, you're going to see him, or supposedly he's going to come back
I
next
don't think
year.
we're going to stop getting our fix of Bruce Willis, unfortunately. But
based on what you read about
it is not going to be in the way that we're used to seeing him.
Well, I cannot imagine them. I hope they don't embarrass him. And what I mean by that, well, sometimes people don't always have other people's best interests in mind. And I don't know his family. And I'm not saying it's his family, but other people might.
I'm just saying, look at Liza Minnelli and freaking
I know.
Lady Gaga. There's a way to be very respectful of people.
The issue with this, though, is that this is progressively degenerative. And it's going to get to the point. The way I read it is that it slowly affects your ability to process incoming speech and thoughts, and then your ability to then respond. So he will know what you're saying eventually. You know, it'll get to the point, though, where he can't process it. Like if you say, let's go to the kitchen, he knows you said let's go to the kitchen, but he won't be able to fully process that. And if he wanted to respond, yeah, I was hungry anyway, or whatever, even if he can get that far, he won't be able to process what he wants to say, or even to the point of getting it out. That's I'm not a doctor.
That is so upsetting.
It made me incredibly sad, and I'll tell you why. I know at some point I'm going to talk about these in more depth, but my absolute favorite TV show of all time, and it almost makes me, like, I will fight someone if they get mad about it, is Moonlighting. I've
heard he was wonderful. I've not seen it.
Do you?
I feel like the way you feel about Bruce Willis is the way I feel about Michael Biehn.
I don't know what your feelings about Michael Biehn are, but I'm telling you, there's.
Go rewatch our podcast on aliens.
I listen, but Moonlighting, I will talk about that on my own one day as why I love it so much. But I'm telling you, it was a phenomenon when I was a kid. I was in middle school, but I'm watching this show that is written like a Howard Hawks movie. It's like His Girl Friday. I literally watched His Girl Friday last night because I wanted a little of the kind of the same juice. It's a show that broke ground, and before that he did like one episode of Miami Vice and like some other one-off thing.
I think I saw that episode of Miami Vice. Sean during COVID at one point just started like cruising Miami Vice for cameos. Like, honestly, I don't know. That was like his thing.
Phil Collins made an appearance. A bunch of fun people made an appearance on that show. But yeah, they hired him to do this show, and they basically wrote it for Sybil Shepherd. Glenn Gordon Caron, I think is how you say his name. He's the guy who wrote it. He did Remington Steele. Hired her because she's Sybil Shepherd. I mean, she was huge.
Sybil Shepherd's awesome. So
yes. Yeah. And again, I'm going to talk about Moonlighting in depth some other time. But they searched all over, and there's a great story about like them finding Willis. He was a bartender, like almost practically down the street. He was barely acting. And he comes in and he just charms the shit out of these people. And they just love him. And he had chemistry with her. Initially, good chemistry. But, you know, like
How did that go? I don't know how that went.
I'll tell you. I'll get a little bit into it. But they hire him for the show. It's a phenomenon, mostly because of him. I mean, obviously, you watch because she's a great actress and she's super interesting. And she plays this really interesting rich person that loses her money. And now she's a detective. And it's all crazy and silly. Very Howard Hawks. But the dude that's running the agency is this moron that is Bruce Willis. He's a womanizer. He's ridiculous. He's the most eccentric, silly, outrageous guy. And Bruce stole the damn show from her. Like, that's how huge he is, this guy.
I'm not surprised.
people went and if you watch these little documentaries about Moonlighting, they were literally editing the show up to the hour it was supposed to air, and they would run the tape over to the machine to hurry up and play it because they were rewriting it so much, and because it was written like a Howard Hawk thing, it was like a 200-page script for an hour show because they're ripping dialogue off so quick, and they would rewrite while they were filming, so they had to relearn all 2, 3, 5, 8, 10 pages of script. Well, there's lore about this show. There's books been written about it. It's one of my favorites. It becomes meta. They literally start introducing an episode of the show by going, yeah, we didn't get the show out last week. Sorry about that. And they're sitting on her desk in her office talking to the audience, but it's a detective show. You're not supposed to do that.
Talk to the audience, yeah.
At one point, he's wearing a Bears headband from the '85 Bears. On the thing, like, it's just ridiculous. It's silly. They get to the point. So here, real quick about Moonlighting. I'll talk about Bruce Willis, but the gist of it is they start to hate each other so much.
The actors,
Sybil and him, who kind of like each other.
I think I've heard about this because I feel like they've both come out and been like, "This was such a stressful situation. We probably wouldn't hate each other if we were nice." And
she threw chairs at him.
Oh, God.
It got so bad. They had to fix the door to her office because her character always slammed it, but she would go and hide in the office on the show, the set, and she'd slam the door. They had to keep fixing the door because she was so pissed. Like, the show is legendary, and it really is, not only because she's so amazing and the writing is so amazing and everything else about the show is so amazing, and it became meta before meta was meta. Literally, the last episode of the show is they cancel the show. So they have the ABC executive. They go back to the Blue Moon Detective Agency, and there's an ABC guy there. And he's like, "What are you doing here?" He's like, "Oh, I'm taking the furniture. You know you're canceled, right?" Like, that's how the show ends.
Oh, that's amazing.
And they talk about how the two actors hated each other. But they like cry when they're talking to each other in the church at the end. Because they realize, she even says, she's like, "I'm going to kind of miss this." But they hated each other. It's the weirdest
Here's the thing.
thing.
There's hating each other, and then there's just not being in a good situation with someone for a very long time.
They've since fixed it, and at the roast, she came out to the Comedy Central roast and roasted him, and they hugged, and it was so awesome for me because it was like 30 years later. You got to see them together. Mm-hmm. But the DVD sets, you can't even find them because people would write music for the show. They loved him and the show so much. Billy Joel wrote a song just for the show because he loved the show so much.
Oh, wow.
They missed an airing.
I never watched any of this. I gotta watch the show.
You got it. Colin will tell you he loves it. He's been watching it. I have it on when I want to. But they were supposed to, like, finally, we're gonna have a new episode next week, and they missed it again.
Yeah.
And the ABC phones the next day were clogged up. People were so pissed they were calling the station and breaking their phone banks. They promised us the show would be on. It was such a phenomenon. And it was because of how cool he was. And at the end of the first season, he jokes about it in these documentaries. He says, "Sybil, if you hadn't gotten pregnant, I wouldn't have gotten Die Hard, so thank God you had sex." And it was literally that. They couldn't film, so he's like, "I guess I'll go get a movie." What movie does he get? Die Hard.
Well, have you watched the How Movies Were Made documentary on Netflix? So you watched how dramatic it was that they were like, "Oh, I don't think this guy is going to be able to hold up this movie." Like, the first poster was just the Nakatomi Tower. That was going to be the big, selling point, that there was a tower. Like, it was insane. I loved watching that.
It was originally a sequel to Commando. It's the most ridiculous.
Really?
Oh, yeah. It was, Stallone turned it down. They're halfway. Schwarzenegger turned it down. They put this everyman. He's not built. He's not muscular. He's just a dude, and he shows up.
He's top.
Yes. But what I mean by that is he's not like superhero-y. He's just a guy. He's not 6'5" and 240. He's not Arnold
Schwarzenegger.
Exactly. And they even make jokes in the movie about the amount of explosives you could level Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like there's jokes about it. It's not a funny movie. He goes from Moonlighting, and everybody loves him, and he's this goofy guy.
There are funny bits. There are definitely funny bits. But oh, my God. Alan Rickman.
One of the best villains ever. This is
one of the best guys ever.
Not only is this my favorite action movie, it's my favorite Christmas movie, which we all joke about, but seriously, I've been saying it for 30 years. And then on top of that, it's just my favorite movie ever. And most of it is because of Willis.
Yeah.
And Rickman, of course. But like, you know, he just plays that character so well.
Earnestly.
And watching Moonlighting and then going to see Die Hard is, you expect it to be kind of, and it wasn't. He played it like a gritty cop, like an action guy, without being super muscular, you know, I got a bunch of oil on me, I'm in the mud kind of thing. It's just this dude, and it's one of the most realistic. I mean, it's silly. I say realistic, but like, it's not just some guy who picks up guns and they never run out of ammunition. He has almost no ammo. Like, he's constantly counting things. He's smart. He's writing their names down. It's like what you would think a normal person would do in a situation like that, especially a cop. Like, you wouldn't.
I don't know about normal.
Well, okay. Extraordinary cop, but the idea is it's not like I'm just gonna shoot through a wall like a Schwarzenegger thing, or shoot a rocket through a building. Like, it's, you know, even the C4 thing is like, I don't know what to do, let's just throw this stuff down the chute and hopefully something blows up. Like, there's no thing, like, he just does what he has to do to survive. It's, I can defend Die Hard for the rest of my life, but most of it, all of that, Moonlighting and Die Hard, is Bruce Willis.
Yeah, it is.
And
it
then,
really is.
So I just went real quick. I went on IMDb. I know I probably had about 15 of these in my list, but Blind Date.
And this is all just the first 5 seconds of you talking about Bruce Willis, because he's phenomenal. He's phenomenal.
Blind Date. Some people don't like that movie. I find it kind of funny. It's ridiculous, but the Blind Date's funny. Obviously, you got Die Hard. I love 2. People really also like the McTiernan 3. I like that too. I'm an apologist for 4. I kind of like the Justin Long one. People don't like it, but whatever. 5, universally hated. That's fine. Last Boy Scout is another one of my favorite movies.
Sean is obsessed with The Last Boy Scout.
It's so good. It's so good. I'm going to dance the jig.
I just saw it for the first time over COVID.
Yeah, it's great, though. Come on, it's good. And then
Bruce Willis is great in it. I will give you that.
Okay. Death Becomes Her.
I've never actually seen that, and I forget that it's him in Death Becomes Her.
Oh, totally different. Another totally different.
Totally forgot that was him, because I always think of Goldie Hawn and Meryl Streep.
Yeah, he's fantastic in it. Again, another totally like submissive, like squeamish, like sciencey guy, and you're like, wait, that's Bruce Willis? Yeah, weird. Yeah. He plays a weird character. Pulp Fiction. Zed's dead, baby. Like, come on. Pulp Fiction. 4 Rooms. I liked him in 4 Rooms. He did his little section of that. 12 Monkeys. Another fantastic movie.
That one's actually underrated. That one's really good.
Yeah. The woman who destroyed Peter Bogdanovich. She's talking about Sybil Shepherd, Sergio. Yeah, she loves Death. Death Becomes Her is one of Mrs. Fun's favorite movies. 12 Monkeys. Fantastic. And he's fantastic in it. He plays a great character in Beavis and Butthead to America. He did a voice. You may not like Beavis and Butthead. That's fine, but he does a great voice in it.
Sure.
Talk about sci-fi. Fifth Element. Weird.
Fifth Element is amazing. Oh my God, it's amazing.
I'm an apologist for that. But again, Bruce.
Why? Why would you apologize for that?
Some people don't like. I think Childress is on the fence on that. I don't think he likes it. But there's a lot of people
Eric,
that
we're going to talk about Fifth Element now. This is our next This is our next podcast.
No, you can't. They get together in the end.
He didn't say it was a good friendship. We're just exploring it.
Okay.
What about the singer? He's friends with the singer. We'll go with that.
Yeah, that woman can actually hit all 5 of those notes at once. She's amazing.
He's amazing.
But yeah, Fifth Element. I like him in that. People kind of crap on it. Armageddon, but huge.
I like Armageddon.
Huge movie.
I love Armageddon, actually, because I feel like it's overplayed and it's overdramatic and there's a ridiculous number of stuff. But oh my God, every time I see that movie, his monologue at the end when he's going off to save, he saves Ben Affleck and I don't want to ruin the movie, but
yeah. By the way,
his monologue at the end is so good.
Eric typed Fifth Element is shit. So
cried every time. Eric, we're doing it now.
Armageddon, I can take it or leave it, but again, that movie's not getting made without Bruce Willis at the time in it. I'm sorry, that movie's not getting made without him in it. No. Sixth Sense, although some people like his kinds of movies, some people don't like his kinds of movies.
No,
Again,
people liked it at Sixth Sense. Here's the thing:
the
like
rest.
there was a decline. There was a decline. Sixth Sense, everyone knows was good,
Sure.
and then there was a decline.
Childress doesn't like that one either. But yeah.
I'm adding that to the list of movies we're doing next.
Eric says Deep Impact is better than Armageddon. I agree with Childress on that.
Hell to the no.
Yeah, it's better. Deep Impact
No.
is better.
No.
We'll discuss that later.
Might be more scientifically accurate. It doesn't mean it's better.
Sixth Sense, though, regardless of what people feel about the movie, people really loved the way his character, the way he did his character in Sixth Sense. Whole 9 yards, back to comedy.
Okay, let me tell you a great story. So, one of my very first dates in high school was with this guy who I had this huge crush on. And we went to go see The Whole 10 Yards, which was the sequel to The Whole 9 Yards.
I noticed I didn't mention
And I really loved The Whole 9 Yards. And I made the mistake of going to see a movie that I wanted to see on a date with a high school boy. So he kept trying to try and make out with me in the theater. And I'd be like, no, hold on, I'm missing a plot point. Like, I was real cool in high school, let me tell you.
Mannequin, first date.
Right.
Yeah. Whole 9 yards, but back to comedy and funny.
Yes,
the first one.
Very good. Oh my God. And I wish Matthew Perry's career had been taken a different turn, but yes.
Unfortunately, he's got some issues. But speaking of that, what did that lead to, him being in those movies? I think it was related to a bet. Bruce Willis shows up on Friends and does one of the best Friends episodes ever. Was it 2? 2 episodes?
Maybe 3. It might be 3.
But he's absolutely great in Friends. Absolutely
so
great in Friends. And then, you have Unbreakable, which as a comic book guy, I liked it at the time. I can still watch it.
It was a good movie.
And then the numerous sequels after that. But I appreciated it when it was there. I liked him in it. I'm a huge Frank Miller fan, and I love Sin City, the comic books, over the years.
I always forget what happens in that movie.
Well,
and I don't think I need to remember.
It goes back and forth, so it's a little crazy, but yeah. But he's great as the grizzled guy who falls in love with the stripper. But he plays like an older, aging guy in there, and I love him in Sin City, and I got to finally see
playing opposite Jessica Alba, who's 24 or something at that time. So that's of course appropriate.
Well, that's kind of the pulp noir story that Sin City is. I know it's maybe not appropriate, but that's the way it's based on the pulp noir books from the early I don't want to say 1900s, but yeah.
I love when we do things historically, and that's how we get away with doing shitty things.
I'm just saying. Grindhouse, which Planet Terror.
What is he in? Oh!
Lieutenant Muldoon, I think is his name.
I completely forgot he was in that. That Planet Terror, everybody's in it, and you forget.
Yeah.
Because so many people are in it, including my best friend and love of my life, Michael Biehn.
Yeah. There you go. Moonrise Kingdom, which I never seen, but I know people
You haven't seen Moonrise Kingdom?
I know people love that movie, and so
you should. It's not like the best movie ever, but there are parts that are just so heartwarming and lovely that you're just and Bruce Willis is part of that.
I think people are not gonna like me for this. Who made Moonrise Kingdom?
That would be oh my God, what's his name?
Paul Thomas Anderson?
No, that's it's the guy.
What guy?
Fantastic Mr. Fox guy. Royal Tenenbaums guy.
Yeah. That's why I didn't watch it. I can't those movies.
Why can't I remember his name? Eric, you're listening to this. What's his name?
Paul W.S. Anderson? No, Paul W.
Wesley Anderson. It's Wes Anderson.
Wes Anderson? Wes Anderson.
Wes Anderson.
Whatever. I can't. Yeah.
Maybe
one day I'll give it a shot.
There are some Wes Andersons.
They tend to get a little pretentious for me. Wes Anderson. Yeah, you're right. They tend to get a little pretentious for me, and I can't. A little too pretentious. I'll take a little pretension when they become too. Birdman.
This might be just
I'll never watch
Birdman
Birdman again. I'll never watch Birdman again.
Birdman's a bit much. That's okay. Watch Moonrise Kingdom.
Right.
It's very sweet and adorable.
Childress, not that I'm not taking your word for it, but Childress and I tend to have similar taste. I don't know if our tastes are exactly the same yet.
Eric?
Yeah, are you gonna be mad at me?
You're gonna listen to Eric Childress?
I'm just gonna ask. Do you think
That's
I'd like
fine.
it? I'm
Not
gonna
having
ask
an
him.
original thought is a choice. It's fine.
I'm a follower. But Looper.
I didn't see it, but I heard good things.
You should. Very good movie. This is just the list of the ones that I immediately saw, and I'm like, yes. I wrote them all down. It pains me. We just talked about him because in our little text group, someone had posted like, oh, look what I found on cable, or whatever. And it's one of these direct-to-streaming movies. And we were chatting.
I know he's been making some really shitty movies for the last couple of years.
Well, we were chatting about it on this stream, and I think I even said, oh my God, what is he doing? And I said I think I might have even said something like something's got to be wrong. Like maybe he's gone broke or something. And then I started, almost at the exact same time, I started seeing articles about the rumor that maybe they were having to feed him lines, and it kind of like Marlon Brando with the earpiece, or an assistant would be off camera and she'd run up and tell him a line and then he would say it. So I started hearing those rumors, and no. Oh, well done. Everything, no.
I'm hoping you're as invested in me eating this pomegranate.
I don't think you're going to get to the end of it. Is that a challenge?
No, don't challenge me to eat fruit. It's only going to end badly for everybody. Sorry, continue.
No, it's okay. But there's been this obvious direct-to-video mentality, and whether people just weren't casting it. But again, Moonrise Kingdom is a huge director, whether I like that director or not.
I don't think it was ruining his career. The thing is, he was doing these movies that were not popular enough to be box office flops because they weren't going to the box office. And that's how he got away with it.
And I also think when you look back at it now, and I think I said it before, but it's abundantly clear now. It sounds like what was happening was either A, he knew he wasn't going to be able to do them, and these other directors still wanted him. And the sad part is we probably don't know all the times he had been rejected because he couldn't keep up anymore.
I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think he knew he had to make as much money as he could, as quickly as he could.
And that was the next one I said was he knew what was coming. And if I can book a movie every couple months and I can do 6-7 of these a year for the next 2 or 3 years, I can bank this money for myself and my kids. And that's the Bruce Willis.
He has tiny kids. He has 2 very little girls.
Yeah, that's the Bruce Willis I am a fan of. I'm taking that as being what happened.
Well,
I don't know.
I also love that
it's not in my.
He is so close with Demi Moore. He is so close.
They still are. Them. They spent like 6 months together during COVID because they ended up getting stuck in the same house together. And the new wife was like, "I totally get it. No big deal." Like,
well, part of the reason was because she had tiny kids and she didn't want to have the tiny kids around anybody else.
Yeah, but again, you could be weird about that, right? Like, I don't want you with your ex-wife. He could have gone to a hotel. It was like, yeah, whatever, man. Do what you got to do. I want to know he's that Bruce Willis. He's socking this money away for his family and his kids, and I want to celebrate him because...
I don't understand the moral dilemma here. Like,
what do you mean?
I don't understand why it's such a difference that he does these movies for money versus doing these movies because... I mean, just that he's so far gone.
The other one's more sad. Is that my hope is that people weren't rejecting him. And
if people were rejecting him, we would have heard it. Oh, yeah. We would have heard it.
I don't know.
We would have heard about it. We would have heard about it.
People didn't want to ruin his name. They probably knew something was going on, and you don't want to badmouth someone who's clearly maybe having some issues. And so I take it as I'm going to do this. I'm going to pocket this. I want him to be the hero. All I can say is to make this positive, because it's a very depressing thing, is I want to celebrate Bruce Willis because it's literally 2 of my absolute favorite things ever is Moonlighting and Die Hard.
Yeah.
I love them. They're my favorite. Every Christmas we watch Die Hard. I have the old DVD sets. I throw them on. I watch them at night sometimes and stuff. Like, there's nothing better than a good Bruce Willis TV show, Moonlighting, or Die Hard time. Even 2, even 3, even 4 in my case. I just like Bruce Willis. And it was a very, a very impressionable time. The mid to late 80s. I'm 13, 14, 15, 16 years old. Moonlighting, it makes me like, wait, TV? Why are they talking to me? Like, it changed my view of what TV could be. Like, there's obviously Python and all this other stuff that I was getting at the same time.
And now, then you had The Office, and then you had Parks and Rec, and it's turned into its own.
But you wouldn't. This wasn't even that. Like, it's a mockumentary because we had Spinal Tap before that. This is literally the show breaking character and being like, yeah, you know, last week we were supposed to have a show. Sorry, we forgot. We got to fill 30 seconds. And the director would just walk on in the middle of the opening and be like, yeah, we got new script page. Okay, well, yeah, I guess we got to go. And then someone would be like, I don't want to talk about this anymore. And she'd walk off the set, but she's doing the camera. And then they'd be like, someone by. And the Al Jarreau thing would come on. And then it would just be the start of the show. It made no sense. The actors were talking to you like you knew them. And then they were just Maddie and David Addison. Maddie, they were just
okay. I have to watch this show now. Now I'm really interested.
It'll change your life. The problem is you're not going to be able to find it anywhere unless you find the old DVD sets. Some of them are like $200. It doesn't stream anywhere because they license the hell out of music. People were writing them songs. It doesn't stream anywhere.
Why not?
I think you might be able to buy seasons on Amazon, but I don't even think that's possible anymore. Colin had to rent them from the library. You can't even buy them on eBay because they low printed them. I think 2 of the ones I have are UK.
I'm not going to lie. That is a very attractive young Bruce Willis there.
Then you're going to love the whole show.
The whole show.
Even when it gets ridiculous. They literally... Hold on. I got to talk about it again because I love it so much. They literally did... Because the guy who created the show literally modeled it after The Taming of the Shrew. The idea is that...
Really? Oh, that makes sense.
She was the rich one. He's the idiot. She's mad she lost all her money. He doesn't mind spending it. They do all this stuff together, and so she's angry. But it became such a joke that they actually hated each other. He wrote... an episode called Atomic Shakespeare, and the entire show's an iambic pentameter. And they dress in Shakespeare costumes, and they basically do Taming of the Shrew, but they're talking about their characters of David and Maddie, but they're talking about stuff that you heard was between the 2 of them, how much she hated him and didn't get along with him. And him having to, quote, tame her because they were constantly fighting. They would meta talk about the characters themselves and their real-life personas in the show. And the way the story starts out is the episode starts, there's a little kid who doesn't want to do his homework. And the mom's like, what are you doing? You got to do your homework before you go to bed or whatever, play your games or whatever. And she's like, you got to read your Shakespeare by tomorrow. And he's like, I don't want, and this and that. So he gets into bed... And they flip a book, and it says, The Taming of the Shrew, or whatever it said. Kicks into the Moonlighting theme by Al Jarreau. And you listen to Moonlighting, and you're like, this doesn't make any sense. If I remember correctly, they still use the Moonlighting theme. And then it kicks into, they're in Shakespeare clothes, and everything's iambic pentameter, the whole episode.
And they're just doing Taming of the Shrew.
And it's called Atomic Shakespeare. I love it. It totally changed television, and Bruce Willis... was basically a nobody before this and stole the show.
Yeah.
So all I can tell people is I'm a huge fan. This really freaking depressed me. I can't even imagine what his family's going through. That's obviously who's important here. But I read off 20 movies you could watch with Bruce Willis in it. And if you can get your hands in any way, shape, or form on watching
I just looked up. I think there's one for delivery for $50 for the first 2 seasons. And then all the other ones are 100 plus.
Yeah.
Now I want to watch the show.
There might be other ways to get it. But in general, if you want the actual copies. And then there was a book signing with, who's the guy who played Booger? Why can't I think of his name? Revenge
Curtis
of the Nerds.
something.
Yeah, Curtis Armstrong. He did a book about being in the nerds and all that stuff. We met him, and I brought my Moonlighting DVDs with me. And I was like, hey, could you sign these?
Wait, so you have the Moonlighting DVDs?
Oh, I have them. Yes. I wish I should have showed those. They're upstairs. She could run them down. They're literally right in front of the television.
No, I just am gonna now see if I can find a way to,
Yeah, well, we can
copy
figure out a
your
way to
DVDs.
get them to you. Don't say copy on here. We're not going to violate any federal laws. But yeah, I saw him, and people are bringing up Revenge of the Nerds stuff and this kind of thing. Well, Curtis Armstrong ends up as a character on the show, like a trainee for Bruce Willis. It again, him and Elise Beasley, the secretary who answers the phone in a rhyme every time she answers the Blue Moon Detective Agency, and then says a rhyme for the day. They sort of have a weird, silly love interest thing that goes on because they couldn't get Sybil and Bruce to show up in some episodes, so they wrote episodes for the two of them because they couldn't film fast enough because they were fighting all the time, or they couldn't get them written anyway.
Yeah.
We saw Curtis Armstrong and with the book signing, and I walked over to him and I pop open the Moonlighting DVDs, and he's like, I have not seen these in so long, and he started telling me stories about working on the set with the two of them, and he was the nicest dude, but he signed my DVD of the season where he started at, and I'm just telling you, any of these movies I listed are worth watching. The Friends episodes, you said 2 or 3 of them. I thought it was 1, but 2 or 3 in Friends,
2 or 3.
Moonlighting, and then if you really want to dig deep, try to find his Miami Vice cameo episode.
I'm sure that's actually easier to find than the Moonlighting DVDs.
Oh, easily. Yeah, it's because there's tons of music. And one time, I'm going to do it real quick. They're starting the show, and the two of them are sitting at the desk in his office, and they break the camera away, and you see where the set ends. And he's talking about, he's like, what are you going to do? He's like, I don't know. I think I'm going to make a funk video. But it's just the two of them talking and sitting on the desk casual. She's like, what, a funk video? Yeah, a funk video. She's like, I don't think that'd be easy or something like that. And he's like, yeah, it's really easy. And he snaps his fingers, and I think it's the Four Tops or the Temptations. They pop him on the stage. They start singing like Four Tops or Temptations songs on the show. Like, and then someone by that, they kick into Moonlighting, and then the show starts, and now they're David and Maddie again. It's the most ridiculous. I just can't talk about it enough. I'm going to have to talk about Moonlighting again some other time. But the key part of this is Die Hard, Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis is a Die Hard awesome person.
12 Monkeys, Fifth Element, Sixth Sense.
Fifth Element, the best movie ever made.
Oh, stop it. Look, I think I even said Look Who's Talking on here because he actually did a funny
Look
voice.
Who's Talking is so good. Don't even hate on it. It's so good.
But he is funny in it.
When was the last time you saw Look Who's Talking?
On purpose, it was a while ago.
Look Who's Talking 2 is better, I will say. Will say it's better.
Tons of Bruce
I almost
Willis
forgot
movies.
that was him in Look Who's Talking.
Yeah, he's fantastic. Go watch a bunch of movies. I'm legitimately thinking about trying to find him a way to mail him a letter. Like if they have like a way to communicate, because there may come a time when he may not be able to comprehend reading stuff. And so I wanna try to get him a letter to tell him how important he was, because it's two absolute pillar, my two favorite things in the world is Moonlighting and Die Hard.
You're gonna break my heart. I thought this was supposed to be about happy
It is good
things.
because
what
we
did
can
you
watch
do?
it. We get to watch them forever. I can go upstairs right now and watch an episode of. Oh, you can't, but I can watch an episode. I can watch an episode of Moonlighting right now.
Way to rub it in. Way to just salt on the wound, Derek.
Which I'm gonna do now that I'm talking about. I'm gonna run upstairs. I'm gonna watch a couple
the
episodes of
worst.
Moonlighting. It's so great. It's so good. It's so good. I could go on Moonlighting forever. But yeah, if you do end up watching it or getting at least, well done, halfway.
I know.
Even if you do,
you
No.
sound just like Childress, by the way. Side note.
if you do start watching, you're gonna have to let me know, because I'm telling you, you're gonna love it. I swear to God, you're gonna
I
love it.
know.
Do you like Hawks movies, like Howard, like His Girl Friday, the real fast talky? Hey, this and that. Hey, back and forth, real fast,
I would
lots
need
of dialogue.
titles to know what you're talking
His
about.
Girl Friday.
No, I haven't seen it.
No, there's a couple others. Childress could probably name a bunch. It's just really fast, quick, witty repartee, back and forth. People leaving the room. Hey, very, quick, fast speech, lots of speech. The scripts are way longer than they need to be, but they're done on purpose, so you get a lot of the interaction in. Really, really witty, back and forth. It's good. And all of these episodes are like that. See? Well done.
Sorry, couldn't. I
you're
can't
good.
help. Now it's becoming like a whole thing where I have to be like the good kid in the class who's doing a good job on the project.
Because they said good
Like,
job.
look at all my progress. Aren't I doing great? Look at this.
So like, I
Now
don't.
we're halfway.
You are halfway. Well, that's half, right?
This is exactly half.
Yeah,
yes.
there you go. We got to get you like a pomegranate knife.
No.
No? All right.
Because the thing about it is very delicate. The seeds are very delicate, so you can't really fuck with them too much. Otherwise, you get them bursting in your hands.
That's when you get
I'm
stains.
sorry. Anyway.
There you go.
What?
High stakes
puzzle.
Unfortunately, I've talked a lot about Bruce. Well, fortunately. Sorry, this is a positive show? Question mark at the end of it. It is because Bruce Willis is awesome. Watch
Bruce Willis is awesome. I'm going to go cry about it, but Bruce Willis is awesome.
Don't feel sad for him. Watch a bunch of Bruce Willis stuff and love it because a bunch of it's good. I named a bunch, and you can find more. I'm sure I'm missing something. Love it. Watch a bunch of it, and somehow figure out a way to get that guy a message and tell him how awesome he is and how much
I love that
joy
on
he's
your
given you.
On your positive podcast, we talk about someone who's very sick, and then you talk about a show of his that we can't watch.
You can watch it. It's just gonna cost you.
No. You can watch it, Eric. The rest of us cannot.
Go to your local library. They might have some. That's how Colin found like season 3, 4, and 5. There you go. So I think we only have like 20 minutes left because I know there's a certain amount of time this thing will let me post it as a
I'm
audio
just saying
file.
that would have been a good thing to start the podcast with, which we have a time limit. Let's get through it.
It's more the megabits, and since I recorded a higher quality.
Yes, the megabits.
I can only think it's only 146 megabytes will let me.
Okay, I was going to
RSS
say.
feed it. And so I think 2 hours and 45 is roughly where it cuts it off. So we still got 15
we should
minutes.
probably wrap this up anyway.
But what are you looking forward to?
So I very specifically pulled. I'm looking forward to finishing this pomegranate, but I very specifically thought of something so that I could talk about one of the awesome shows I've recently watched. Or not really recently. I'm looking forward to the new Obi-Wan Kenobi series. As I think many of you are. As I'm guessing you have. Or you are. Because based on, everything we just talked about. So, the reason, though, that I'm particularly interested in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series is that I just realized I don't know her last name. The actress who played Aunt Beru in the sequels, in the new prequel movies.
Yeah.
Her name is Bonnie. And now I'm going to find out her whole name because I feel bad that I don't know it.
They got Uncle Owen back too, the original actor.
They
right?
did. They got Uncle Owen back too, which is that actor who's very popular, whose name I always forget. Do you not know?
No. The
name of the actor? It's somebody who's in everything and has been nominated for awards, yet still we don't know the name of him. Bonnie Piesse. I don't know how to actually pronounce her last name. I believe it's French, or actually it's from her husband. And the weird thing is I know about her husband, who is from South Africa. The reason I know about it is if you ever seen the TV series The Vow. No,
Joel Egerton,
okay.
by the way, Eric says.
Yes.
Yeah, is The Vow, is that the documentary about the cult?
Yes, it is.
Yes, we watched that.
So
Jules and I were talking about it because he said you and he were talking about it.
Made him watch it. Yes, I made him watch it. Did he make you watch it?
No, we watched it before.
Way before. Okay. So Bonnie from The Vow is reprising her role and getting to be on this TV show, this extremely popular Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show that's coming out. And I'm very excited because she has been through shit. And if you've watched The Vow, you know that Bonnie is basically the reason that a whole bunch of people got out of this horrible cult that was abusing women and doing all these horrible things. And Bonnie frickin' started the ball rolling to get everybody out and to basically take down this cult that was abusing women and this guy that was abusing women. And Bonnie is just awesome and the best and kick-ass. And I'm very happy that she is being successful.
People might know this as the Smallville cult, the MXVIM or whatever it's called.
Sorry, and that's why I told you to benchmark Battlestar Galactica.
Okay, why?
Because several of the actresses from Smallville and several of the actresses from Battlestar Galactica got wrapped up in it.
Okay.
I don't know if you know this, but the woman from Smallville that was wrapped up in all this.
She's like second in command or whatever, right? Second or third? She's way up there.
Well, she's Not really, but kind of, but yeah, like.
Yeah.
But anyway, she is married to one of the actresses from Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
And I can't remember the character, the one that marries Chief, whose name I can't remember, who like dies. I don't want to ruin it. I was like, don't go into details about characters, but yes.
Now that you say this, I don't think we saw The Vow. We saw the documentary about the MXVIM cult. There was a documentary.
Where was that? There's another one?
There's a documentary.
This is a documentary called The Vow.
But then why are there actresses? They do dramatizations or something?
No. The actresses were in the cult.
Wait. Oh, the woman in Star Wars was in that cult?
Was in the cult with the actress from Smallville and the actresses from Battlestar Galactica. They were all in the cult together.
I didn't know. I thought you were saying The Vow was a dramatization and the actress played a character in The Vow.
No. The Vow is the documentary. It was really dramatic. Do you remember this? Or maybe you watched a different documentary.
No, I watched it because it's the woman from not Dallas. The movie. It was it's her daughter and she's trying to get her out. Yes.
From Dallas.
Yeah, we watched it. It was good. It's scary and weird and horrible but the
upsetting
documentary is good.
Really it's one of the few times that I've watched a documentary about like an abusive situation where I'm like, oh yeah, I could have easily if you'd hit me at the right time with the right people, that would have been me. I'd have been there. I've been screwed.
Yeah.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah. People are impressionable. And
the human psyche is very frail.
And that people take advantage of it is the really sad part. Because those people, unfortunately, yes.
What are you looking forward to?
Yeah, well, Catherine Oxenberg, for clarification. Childress says.
Do you know that she's a princess? Like, she's royalty.
Yeah, she's royalty. I don't know what, but I know she's just whatever. The title.
There's a part of the documentary where she's like, I could email Charles. And then you're like, Charles? And she's like, Prince Charles. Like, he's a second cousin of my mother's. Like, okay.
Yeah. My thing is WrestleMania is this weekend. But more importantly,
I am out of town this weekend. And Sean was like, I don't care because I'm going to watch WrestleMania.
Well, now that I know you guys are wrestling fans, there's a slight chance Childress might even be coming over. I would have known. I don't have a ton of people in my house. Literally, I've only had like 3 guests in 2 years. So
nice.
WrestleMania, now that I know, I do pay for Peacock for that purpose.
That is okay. I'm more of an AEW fan.
Understood. But the reason, not only a WrestleMania, I literally remember ordering the original WrestleMania on cable pay-per-view. 38 years ago when I was 10, I ordered on our cable package WrestleMania. And then WrestleMania 2, 3, all the way up to like 8, and then none, and then more again, and then none, and now that I got Peacock, I get them all. So,
Sean is a hardcore old wrestling watcher. Like, Sean watches wrestling from like the what is the NWO days and like
WCW, NWO, ECW, the old AWA, NWA.
We're watching old, Macho, whatever the bash at the beach is. Macho Man, young Jericho.
I was alive and watching live. Or not live, but the original airings of Macho Man stuff when it was on. And Hulk and Cyndi Lauper with Hulk, Rock and Wrestling Connection, all that stuff. But yeah, so again, 38 years I've been watching WrestleMania, and I'm kind of back into it now with Peacock. But the big thing is Hall of Fame is tomorrow night, and the Undertaker is being inducted into the Hall of Fame.
He's not already in the Hall of Fame.
He retired for the first time last year. He did it something like 25 years as the Undertaker. And he wrestled
The Undertaker, I love that the Undertaker is like the sweetest guy ever. If you hear any stories, everyone's always like, well, the Undertaker's just such a nice guy. He's always the person that people confide in.
And the Protector.
My God. Okay.
You hear all these stories about the Protector he was, because like when people were gonna, wrestling business is notoriously shady. Promoters not giving money, people screwing people over, people getting belts when they shouldn't, people doing this, people attacking people. The Undertaker, when he got in and became the Undertaker, there's legendary stories of him waiting behind curtains that they call it the gorilla position. The announcer's right behind the curtains because a Gorilla Monsoon was a wrestler, so he was there. And when you come up the ramp, the curtain's right there, right? And then you go behind the curtain. Well, if you were going to screw someone over, they knew there was only one person you had to answer to. It wasn't even Vince. If the Undertaker didn't like what you were doing or heard you were going to screw someone over, he'd be waiting for you behind the curtain. And you knew if you screwed someone over, he would beat the living crap out of you. And just the threat of the Undertaker taking care of business back there, because he was the head honcho for a long time, because once Hulk left, that's all you had left was the Undertaker, and he held court back there. They literally joked about there was a little backstage courthouse thing, and he was the judge kind of thing. But yeah, he's and the fact that it's some ridiculous Vince McMahon creation of an Undertaker with the silly the thing with the hat and the gown and the gray cuffs with the gray cuffs over his boots. It's the most ridiculous thing.
Could talk about the Undertaker for a while.
Well, we'll have to be on again. We'll talk just about the Undertaker, but
okay,
it should never have worked. It's the most ridiculous. The Doink the Clown didn't work. There's a bunch of these.
I mean, I don't personally know Doink, but yes.
If you don't know Doink, you don't know wrestling. But if you
okay, I'm sorry. I'm gonna stop you right there because I don't think I can ever take you seriously as a person ever again.
I know. I'll take that.
You don't know Doink. You don't know. You just turned into the most wrestling fan I have ever spoken to personally.
It's been around my whole life, and it's again superheroes. Video games, comic books, it's this weird, silly mythology of these bigger-than-life characters. It's a soap opera, it's live improv, it's acting, in a way, it's stage work, it's lighting, it's presentation, it's everything.
Oh, yeah.
The art of it
I'm very sad I didn't realize I should have been a wrestling stage manager in my earlier years.
Oh, my God, that'd be awesome.
I know.
But, yeah, he's getting inducted into the Hall of Fame tomorrow with a bunch of fun, goofy people. And my absolute favorite, or mostly, is... Stone Cold Steve Austin. We talked about it last week. And there's a good chance he's definitely showing up. But after 19 years of not wrestling because he has a broken neck, he may get into a little bit of action. And I get to hear the glass break, and I get to hear him stun a bunch of people or watch him stun. And that, I can't wait.
Are you ready for something lovely?
Sure. Don't tell me you got
Remember that little show I was telling you about called Farscape?
Stone Cold Steve Austin was on it?
Nope, but be prepared. So as part of the show, John, the human gentleman, leans far into quoting his own pop culture, even though nobody else gets it in the show. And after at least one season, he starts doing Steve Austin's Can I Get a Hell Yeah all the time. And it is amazing.
That is great.
It is amazing.
Does he do the hell yeah? Does he do the thing with his hands and everything? So good. Does he say at any point 316? Like kick your ass?
I don't know
or
about
anything?
that.
No. All right.
I was not as attuned with wrestling at that time.
Okay. I'll send you a couple clips. I'm sure.
I'll send you a couple clips.
All right. Well, that's
so
it. How do we
close this out?
Basically just say goodbye. No, I'm joking. So wave to everybody. No, basically just say thank you. And that's the big thing. I appreciate you coming on. We don't even know we literally didn't know each other till 40 minutes.
We didn't know each other before this. And now we're best friends.
See, that's how that works. I just appreciate you coming on and doing this. I hope it was fun and positive. That's the whole idea now. And hopefully we do this again now that you feel comfortable or you've done it, and I'll put you on the rotation. Yeah. Just hang out here in Zoom and give me 1 sec.
No problem.
Later, everybody.
Thank you for having me.